Chapter 1 9 Serenities, Secret Records. Chapter 1 9 Serenities, Secret Records. On the highest platform on Devil Peak stood a black-garbed man with rapt attention high above the clouds. The sun and moon hung side by side, flooding the land below in their warm glow and sharp coldness. The man took deep breaths as he spread his arms toward the sky, and the lights gathered in his palms. And the world dimmed, a foul wind stirred, wreathing with endless howls of agony from untold ghosts. The wind picked up the man's elegant hair, revealing a demonic face behind the sun, and the moon dimmed while the man grew in power from the rays. Soon, even dark energy began to rise from him with his face battered by the freezing winds. The dark energy grew thicker until it covered him whole. He released a breath, and an evil smile adorned his face. Rumble! With a loud sound as the trigger, the 4 mountains in vicinity erupted, while Devil Peak itself was racked by terrible tremors. The man, absorbing the essences of the sun and moon, opened his eyes with a space-rending sound. 7 flashes of light appeared. As the light scattered, there stood 7 figures radiating ruthless power. His eyebrows shook but a fraction as the man spoke in an eerie voice. "How are the 7 of you here? Didn't you all despise us demonic cultivators to no end?" "Humph, demonic emperor, Zhuyi-Fun, isn't it obvious why we're here?" An old man stroked his white beard as he gave a look of disdain. His heart skipped a beat, and Zhuyi-Fun sounded out, "Geezer, Sword Emperor, I do not know what you mean." "Humph, stop faking it and take out the 9 Serenities, Secret Records." A female Taoist stepped arrogantly as she threw her chin forward. Yifun paled. It had been only a month since he found the legendary 9 Serenities, Emperor's dwelling. After brushing death countless times in the process, he finally obtained the written accounts he wished to study for all his life. How was it that they caught wind of this? He suddenly recalled something, and his face grew darker. By the second, "Zhao Chen, come out!" shouted Zhuyi-Fun. A cheery voice rang through the empty forest on the mountain. Immediately, a handsome youngster in white robes walked from behind the 7, smiling, all the while as he made a curt bow to Zhuyi-Fun. "Ha, master, did you ask for me?" Zhuyi-Fun glared with hatred at the hypocrite and said, "Is this your doing?" "Yes," nodded Zhao Chun with a smile. "Did you also cancel the guarding array?" "Yes." "Why, I never slight you in the least." Zhuyi-Fun clenched his fist as murderous intent flared out from his eyes. Despite being a demonic cultivator, he normally did not kill without reason. If he did, he was just acting out on his nature. Else, those righteous cultivators would have come to end him much sooner. Zhao Qin, for that matter, was an orphan that Zhuyi-Fun took in when he saw his talent. Yet, who'd have thought the day would come when Zhao Chen would betray him despite putting a front with his calm demeanor before Zhuyi-Fun's increasing killing intent? Zhao Chen's feet betrayed him as he took 2 steps back, moving closer to the 7 beings behind him. "Master, I understand your kindness is as heavy as a mountain, but that doesn't give you the right to steal the 8 Emperor seat and cast me in your shadow for all eternity. Even more so regarding the 9 Serenities, Secret Records. Ever since you've obtained it, you've trained alone, even afraid of me catching a glimpse of it." Zhuyi-Fun's heart clenched when he heard this. Zhao Qin would never know he did it for his sake. Having low cultivation and going head first into studying the 9 Serenities, Secret Records, would deviate one's cultivation. He had opted to understand it in its entirety, and only then impart it to him, yet all his plans were ruined in just a short month. Ha. Well said. "Zhao Qin, you're a true disciple." Zhuyi-Fun's roaring laughter reached the heavens, and so did his rage. "Since it is so, Master will give you a taste of the 9 Serenities, Secret Records." "Zhuyi-Fun, it is not your place for such unbridled words in the presence of us 7. The white-bearded old man stepped before Zhao Qin. "Humph! Everyone in the sacred domain knows me as the 8th Emperor. I could care less if all 7 of you emperors come at me together." No sooner said than done. Zhu Yifan launched a palm, a jouch and a black claw flashed in the sky. Reaching out for him, his eyes shrunk, face paled, and retreated with haste, fear having taken its grip on the youth. In the face of that powerful claw, the old man drew a sword. A sword wave flashed, and the black claw was turned to nothing. Humph! 9 Serenity's secret records is nothing great. The old man stood in the wind with his sword ready. Disdain all over his face, Zhu Yifan smiled and waved his palms. Geezer, stop being so arrogant! Boom! As if endless thunders were rumbling, the sky was covered by thousands of black palms, bearing down on the 7. Each palm was twice as big as the claw. Such power reached a new height that even the 7 were in shock. How can this be? Did he break through to the sacred stage? Sword Emperor sucked in a cold breath at the sight. As they watched, they could feel bravery leaving them. Not even 7 emperors together were a match against a sacred stage expert. Zhao Chen's face grew paler as regret gnawing his heart. Who'd have thought just a month of practice would elevate Zhu Yifan to such height in power? Humph! Damn traitor, this is the end for you. Sneered Zhu Yifan. Whoosh! A light fell from the heavens above, piercing the black hands, and went straight for Zhu Yifan. With no time to react, the light passed right through him. Scarlet blood spurted from his mouth, and the thousands of black hands vanished. Zhu Yifan looked with his wan face at the sky to see a middle-aged man basked in a holy aura of light saint. Zhu Yifan bit his lips in defiance. He knew in his heart the newcomer's intention. Demonic Emperor Zhu Yifan. This saint represents the sacred domain in retrieving the demon emperor's legacy. If you hand it over, your life shall be spared. The surroundings and people entered his eyes, yet none of them were reflected within. He wouldn't even deign to look at Zhu Yifan. If not for having the 9 Serenities, secret records, this was the strongest saint in the sacred domain. Even Emperor stage experts were mere ants before him. With a miserable chuckle, Zhu Yifan took out a dazzling, multicolored jade slip from his bosom. The mere sight of it changed the expressions of everyone present, especially saints, with a look of derision to all around him. Zhu Yifan jeered. What righteous cultivators, what saint? Aren't you all just thieves lusting a poor man's wealth? I won't let any of you get one word from the 9 Serenities' secret records, even if I have to destroy it. As if to prove his conviction, a powerful energy rose up from his body. Damn, he's gonna self-destruct. Sword Emperor's eyes shrank, speeding further away, with the other not far behind. Only the saint exploded in holy wrath and charged for Zhu Yifan. Stop! With a proud smile, Zhu Yifan pinched, and the jade slip was turned to dust right under the saint's eyes. The rage and bitterness he saw in the saint as he gnashed his teeth elicited an unrestrained laughter from Zhu Yifan. Boom! His laughter was soon accompanied by powerful shock waves leveling the entire Devil Peak. As the smoke and dust cleared, it was soon clear to see the angry face of the saint, along with his worse-for-wear clothes. Even in the face of such a terrifying explosion, a saint can come out of it without so much as a scratch. The Sword Emperor came before the saint to express his admiration. The saint snorted and was about to leave. It was then Zhao Chen blocked him. Please wait, saint. Demonic Emperor Zhua is cunning and deceitful. If he possesses someone, just from knowing the 9 Serenities' secret records, he will one day come to exact vengeance upon us all. Humph! His self-destruction was down to his soul. What possession? He waved his sleeve and vanished. The hearts of everyone present eased. After hearing this, with a saint present, an Emperor stage expert would find it impossible to escape with their soul, even if they self-destructed. It was a pity for the loss of the ancient demon emperor's legacy, 9 Serenities' secret records. As people gazed upon the ruins of Devil Peak, they each felt differently. Some were rejoicing, others lamenting, while most were feeling pity. Yo, we are picking up this novel since there are some people asking for this. I'm also personally interested in this story. Chapter 2, Demonic Emperor's Rebirth. Chapter 2, Demonic Emperor's Rebirth. In the dead of night, Even the moon's radiance was snuffed out by the black clouds' bodies laid in a pile in a quiet part of the forest, the aftermath of a gruesome battle. The air reeked of blood, drawing all kinds of wild animals to feast on their flesh. Among the countless chomping sounds of animals, from amongst the bodies, a young man let out a groan, ears twitched, and the animals approached the source in silence thump. With a loud sound, 2 corpses were thrown to the side to reveal a blood-stained figure wrestling out from the pile. The animals jumped 2 steps back in fright, but when they noticed he was alive, they came back with a vengeance to rob life from him. Yet the youth hardly noticed the imminent danger. Still sat there in a daze. Is this the current me? He checked his hands as his eyes glazed over a war. A wolf's howl echoed as the beast sprung towards the youth. He turned his head, his eyes shining with bloodthirst from his blood-stained face. The killing intent was akin to 2 swords stabbing into the wolf's eyes. Whoosh! The wolf grounded to a halt, shivering as it curled backwards. The rest of the animals were also making a run for it when they watched those demonic pair of eyes. Despite his weak appearance, the animals' instinct screamed at them of the danger the youth posed as silence set in once again. The youth took a deep breath and closed his eyes. His name was Juefan, 15 years of age, a servant of the Luo clan at Cloud Manor. His life was happy and carefree until 3 days ago when a band of Blackwind mountain bandits butchered the manor. He, along with some guards, escorted the young master and young miss as they fled, only to find his end in this forest at the hand of their pursuers in his final breaths. He was filled with an obsession. It was this that drew the drifting demonic Emperor Jueyifan's resentment and allowed the demonic emperor to possess him. Jueyifan's eyes flashed with demonic glee. Ha ha ha. Sword Emperor Zhao Qin, you would have never imagined the 9 Serenities secret records has a way of possessing someone without the need of a soul. Wait for me. I will soon return to sacred domain and behead you myself. Only Juefan's mad laughter echoed in the bleak forest. Even the other animals chewing on corpses were startled into fleeing cough. A sudden cough cut his raving laugher short as his eyes turned like a hawk towards the source. He helped me. Juefan rushed to it to see a Luo clan's guard buried in bodies, with blood pouring from his mouth. Humph! The affairs of mortals have nothing to do with me. His eyes shrank and shook his head as he was about to leave. The previous Juefan would have done his best in helping the man, but he was now replaced by the demonic Emperor Jueyifan. To Yifan, the Luo clan were nothing but ants to him who was so bored as to save an ant's life. He took only 2 steps before stopping. Recalling something, he dropped down cross-legged to inspect his body. Not a moment passed, and Juefan flashed his eyes open with glee. This kid is 15, yet has never cultivated. His body is untainted. On the martial Emperor continent, most could cultivate. Even farmers would have a first or second layer in the foundation establishment stage. It was rarer to find a 15 years old who never cultivated once, and the strongest cultivation method is the 9 Serenities secret records. Demon transformation art, who could use others' cultivation and later allow one to swallow the heavens and devour the earth, reaching the highest realm of power in this world, needed a pure body to train in it. This cultivation method was something the 9 Serenities Emperor comprehended only after he entered the Emperor stage. Just when he was contemplating destroying his cultivation and starting anew, he suffered at the hands of the other Emperor stage experts in ancient times. The 9 Serenities Emperor was among the top 3 strongest emperors. For it to make even him consider restarting his cultivation, this cultivation method must be of tremendous might. Maybe it surpassed even a heaven-ranked cultivation method. As such, once Jueyifan obtained it, he began to consider his next course of action. But before he could decide, the 7 emperors and Zhao Qin came and forced him on this path. With a pure body, the effect would be even more pronounced at this point. Juefan returned to the guard. He removed the corpses covering him and pulled him out of the rest. Empty eyes watched as he got pulled from the brink of death. The guard smiled. "Ah, it's you, Juefan. Thank you. I'll repay you when we get back." Why wait when you can just as well do it now? With a corner of his mouth perked up, Zhuo Fan exposed an odd smile. The guard froze as a chill seized his heart, as they were both from the Luo clan. This wasn't the first time he saw Zhuo Fan, but this was his first time watching such a sinister expression. It was akin to how a wolf would set its sights on a rabbit. Zhuo Fan, what are you going to do? The guard watched him. Vigilant Zhuo Fan ignored him as he watched with the same smile, mumbling all the while. Not bad. A second layer of qi condensation, cultivation. Solid foundation material. While other cultivation methods absorbed the spiritual energy around them to refine the host's body, the demon transformation art robbed others of their cultivation to further his own. But how could a normal man steal from a cultivator? When the target was wounded, of course, to the point he couldn't even move. This was the reason for Zhui Yifan's uncertainty to abolish his cultivation at the time. If such an encounter never happened, he would have been immortal for the rest of his life. It would end in a complete loss, something he believed caused even the 9 Serenities Emperor to hesitate at that time. Yet here he was, with a newly possessed body that the heavens dropped on his lap. Truly something only found by luck. Seeing the insidious Zhuo Fan watching him like a rogue watched a beauty, the guard's heart never knew rest as he shouted, "Why, you're not Zhuo Fan!" He correct. The evil laughter further emphasized Zhuo Fan's malevolent look. I am the sacred domain's 8th emperor, demonic emperor Zhuo Yifan. Chapter 3, Demon Transformation Art. Chapter 3, Demon Transformation Art. The guard watched in horror as Zhuo Fan raised a palm over his head and began operating his cultivation method. Black streams came from it, twisting like worms as they burrowed into the guard's body. The moment they entered, the guard's face changed. His horrified visage, twisted from pain, now darkened the pale face from the extreme blood loss. With each passing moment, the man inched closer to turning as black as charcoal. In the dark night, even if one didn't pay attention, no one would claim him to be a human. This perked Zhuo Fan up. Riveted in excitement to the sight before him, demon transformation art might take others' cultivation as his own. But when was it that easy to steal one's yuan qi? Even if he did, it would probably reject him. He needed to show extreme caution, especially now when he was building his foundation. Therefore, Zhuo Fan chose to first demonify it before absorbing it, taking a deep breath to calm his excitement. His hand tightened, and the black streams began to flow back from the guard into his body as the guard himself was withering in front of his naked eye. An hour later, Zhuo Fan took back his hand and sat cross-legged. Beginning to refine the new yuan qi, the guard collapsed and scattered to ashes. It was as if an ancient corpse was unearthed only to scatter in the wind the moment they made contact. 9 Serenities Emperor's creation not only took others' cultivation, but also their essence. The black energy roamed around his body like a flood. Zhuo Fan sank into concentration as he operated the cultivation method to make the energy flow through his meridians, and widening little by little, the entire power of a qi condensation expert flowed through his untrained body. The force was on the verge of bursting his meridians as his forehead broke out in sweat, but he pushed through because he knew this power could build a never-before-seen foundation. Such a stable foundation would guarantee an easier and smoother path of cultivation time, past 1 second at a time for 2 hours long hours. As Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and sweat poured from him like a river, he loosened his jaw only on the 6th hour, when the black energy, after roaming his body for hundreds of times, gathered in his dantian and settled in the form of a black lake. He slowly opened his eyes and released a long breath. The clouds in the horizon began to brighten, and the stuffed wild animals returned to the depths of the forest. It's dawn? Ha ha ha! I didn't expect for a second layer qi condensation's cultivation would require an entire night. Zhuo Fan shook his head and examined his body. Bang! A loud sound echoed, and the rock crumbled under the Zhuo Fan's frail punch. Zhuo Fan nodded in satisfaction. The qi condensation expert's cultivation refined his body and improved it greatly. Based on his body strength alone, he was no weaker than a qi condensation expert. Next, he inspected his cultivation. He was calm before, But that look scared the living daylight out of him. As for his cultivation, not only did it reach the 5th layer of foundation establishment, the yuan qi inside him was that of qi condensation and not a foundation establishment. Man, this demon transformation art is fantastic. Zhuo Fan couldn't help smacking his lips, being secretly delighted, generally speaking. Even those rare geniuses from the sacred domain needed a year to reach the 5th layer of foundation establishment. Yet he needed one night to do what others had to work for 2-3 years to attain. It won't be long before I return to the sacred domain. Zhuo Fan snickered, just as he was indulging in his fantasy when he returned. Shouts woke him up frowning. He walked cautiously in their direction. He was clear on his limitations. Even if he had a 5th layer foundation establishment cultivation, this little achievement couldn't deal with the simplest martial skill. He had no power to retaliate if he met an expert. As such, being prudent took first priority. After all, he wasn't the all-powerful demonic emperor right now with steps as light as a cat. He neared a bush. Zhuo Fan pushed aside the leaves to see 2 parties in a stalemate. One had more than a dozen men. Luo clan's guards surrounding an 18-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. The other group wore black and was led by an old man, over 20 people. The man was familiar to Zhuo Fan. He recalled seeing him in the Luo clan as their steward. Then the pair surrounded by the guards had to be Luo clan's young master, Luo Yunhai, and young miss Luo Yunchang. Humph! No wonder the mountain bandits breached the tight security of the Luo clan guards. We had a traitor amongst us. Zhuo Fan sneered inside. He recalled his disciple and clenched his fists in his past life. He was betrayed by his disciples, and the one he possessed now died from a similar result. He couldn't help relating a bit to the body he occupied, but he soon shook his head and sighed. Ready to turn around and leave with his strength, he had no way of helping them. Besides, there was nothing tying him to the Luo clan. It just wasn't worth throwing his life away for yet. He only took 2 steps before his heart seized with pain. The 3rd step never came. Chapter 4: Heart Demon. Chapter 4: Heart Demon. In fear, Zhuo Fan tightened a hand over his chest. The pain was so excruciating, it brought him to his knees, mumbling, "What's going on? Did my cultivation deviate?" His heart welled with panic. If he deviated right as he built his foundation, the result wasn't as simple as losing all progress. He would never again be capable of cultivation. He would become a cripple, but the pain left as soon as it came. Zhuo Fan stood up and took a deep breath. He couldn't make heads or tails of it, yet the next step brought with it the same heartache. No, this isn't deviation, but heart demon. Thinking of this, he began to look for the source of the heart demon. If a cultivator ignored it, he wasn't far from deviating and becoming a demon. Zhuo Fan soon found its source. But the result left him feeling discontent before being possessed. Zhuo Fan was a devoted servant. Luo clan's young miss was very kind to him, and so he pledged lifelong devotion to the clan. The resentment before death was born out of regret of not protecting the Luo clan. It was then the demonic emperor's hatred and his resentment fused, possessing his soul and breathing life into his body. And his resentment became a contract with the demonic emperor, turning into his shackles. In short, the demonic emperor lived so he could replace him in protecting the Luo clan, or the heart demon would haunt him. Blast it. This punk is the worst. He wants me to be a servant? Zhuo Fan wanted to cry, but no tears came out as he kept cursing. How could the glorious and magnificent demonic Emperor Zhu Yifan, the 8th emperor of the sacred domain, be tied down by some nameless clan? Yet the heart demon couldn't be ignored, either. Helpless, he caressed his forehead. It would be better if a punk like you wished for vengeance instead. This way, it would have taken me a few years to kill him. Yet you went and ruined my life. Who's there? Show yourself. An aged voice shouted, and Zhuo Fan sensed a thick, killing intent aimed at his location. Shaking his head, he sighed and walked out. Since he got found out, he might as well go deal with that traitorous Steward Sunday, seeing who it was. Steward Sun smiled with derision. Humph! I wondered who it could be, when in fact it was just a little bastard. Then Steward Sun turned to Luo Yunchang, paying him no heed. "Young miss, I advise you to hand over the returning dragon palm martial art to avoid any unnecessary casualties. I don't think you want that, either." "Rubbish, geezer son, you traitor. As long as we're here, you won't harm a single hair on young miss and young master." The Luo clan's guard captain took a step forward. Luo Yunchang glared back, her pretty face filled with resolve. "Steward son, returning dragon palm is a spirit-ranked martial art handed down in the Luo clan for generations. We will never hand it over." Zhuo Fan snorted inside. He was wondering why the mountain bandits raided the Luo clan. It was all for a mere spirit-ranked martial art on the martial emperor continent. All cultivation methods and martial arts were divided into 5 ranks: spirit, profound, earth, and heaven. Each in turn was split in low, mid, and high. In sacred domain, spirit-ranked martial arts were at every corner and mere trash in the eyes of a demonic emperor such as himself. He had thousands of them already. It was a total waste to die for such junk. Zhuo Fan sighed and shouted bored. "Young miss, it's just a spirit-ranked martial art. Just give it to him, and I'll just give you another." All eyes quivered in shock, then looked at him like a nutcase. "Zhuo Fan, quite the cheeky tone you have there. Taking out a random spirit-ranked martial art? On what grounds can a 15-year-old Luo clan servant do that? Ha ha." Steward's son threw his head back and laughed, eyes filled with mockery. Even the bandits followed with their taunting laughter, not hiding their ridicule, while the guards looked at him in doubt. Even his former friends familiar with him looked oddly. This kid is usually honest. Why does he speak nonsense all of a sudden? Did the mountain bandits scared him silly? That must be it. With that, all guards changed their looks into those of sympathy. Zhuo Fan saw through them and just shrugged. His repertoire wasn't limited to spirit-ranked martial art, and even included Demon Emperor's ancient art, the 9 Serenities secret records. But they'd never believe him, Zhuo Fan, enough nonsense. "Hurry up and look after the young master." Zhuo Fan turned at the scolding voice to find Luo Yunchang in a mask of rage, but her eyes conveyed a trace of pity. Chapter 5, Obnoxious Servant. Chapter 5, Obnoxious Servant. Perking up into a grin, Zhuo Fan picked up on her. Intent young miss had to be thinking he was insane, yet she still did not want him to die. As they were speaking, she was looking for a chance to hide him behind the guards. "What are you waiting for? Get him over here before he humiliates us further." Luo Yunchang shouted at the guards before anyone even moved. A bloody blade rested on Zhuo Fan's neck. "Wait!" Steward's son snickered, his eyes piercing through Luo Yunchang's as he had figured out her plan. He, young miss is as kind as ever, wanting to save even a mentally unstable servant." Luo Yunchang raged. "Steward's son, you won't let even the demented live." "Ha ha ha, right back at you. If you don't want the innocent to die, take out the returning dragon palm. We don't care if our blades get slick with the blood of one more man." With that, the bandit brushed the edge along Zhuo Fan's face and sported a bloodthirsty grin. Luo Yunchang pursed her lips, hesitation visible in her eyes, yet still decided to close them. Zhuo Fan understood, although the young miss had no plan to save him by taking the martial art out as his mistress. It filled him with gratitude just from hesitating, but in the end, it would come down to him if he could save himself. Taking a look back at the bandit, he found a fat man of the same height at 7th. Layer of foundation establishment, it should be doable. Zhuo Fan clenched his fist and gathered Yuan Qi in his left, eyes flashing with ruthlessness. "Humph! Since you're so stubborn, Zhuo Fan will be the first to die because of you." Steward's son's hand dropped, staring at Luo Yunchang's pain-filled eyes. "Fatty, kill him." He grinned and raised the blade way up high. It was then that a thump echoed out, soon followed by bones snapping along with the fat man's wails. His blade had long ago slipped from his hand. Zhuo Fan picked it up and decapitated the man. Blood spurted, and a large head trailed the air. Zhuo Fan was only in the 5th layer of foundation establishment, yet his Yuan Qi was something only a Qi condensation expert would possess. In a moment of the fat man's ignorance, he elbowed his chest and snapped his rib cage. He followed with a swing of the sword in one smooth motion. None could even react as the fat man's head flew from his shoulder plop. The bloody head rolled around and stopped right before Steward's son. He looked dumbly at the familiar face. Incredulous of the outcome, he saw Zhuo Fan grow up in the Luo clan and knew the kind of person he was. He was honest to a fault, a slave begging to be picked on, yet this sheep bared its fangs like a tiger, killing a seventh-layer foundation establishment expert in one strike. It was done with such brutality that it even shook the bandits. The guards on Luo clan's side were even more devastated. Was he the same man they used to laugh with, the same honest-to-God Zhuo Fan? Leaving the kill aside, his quick and brutal act was something not even the captain of the guards could match. Every single one of them stood in shock, watching dumbly as blood dripped down Zhuo Fan's blade, to the point they forgot even to breathe if Zhuo Fan didn't take this chance to leave. He'd never get another. Zhuo Fan's eyes squinted, pressed his advantage, and threw the bloody saber at Steward Sunday, all the while running for young miss and young master. By the time the saber arrived, he was already before Luo Yunchang. One hand held Luo Yun high while the other grabbed her. Running like hell deeper into the forest, Luo Yunchang was still in a daze. Letting him pull her, Steward's son saw the target slipping away again and panicked. "After them!" But the captain and his guards were there to block them. "Humph! Think you can stop us?" Steward's son said with cruelty. The captain smiled and shook his head. "No, but we can buy them some time for them to get away. With you dead, you still think they can escape?" Taking one last look in their direction, the captain nodded. "If it was before, perhaps no. But they have that boy." The guards nodded, with their trust in Zhuo Fan beginning to grow in their hearts. They might not know why Zhuo Fan was so bold all of a sudden, but with him next to the young miss and young master, their chances of survival were high. Gnashing his teeth, Steward's son looked darkly beyond them. "The brat dares to meddle in my affairs. Once I get my hands on him, I will flay him. I'll make him wish for death." Chapter 6. Vile Servant Actually. Chapter 6. Vile Servant Actually. Zhuo Fan carried Luo Yunhai in one hand, while the other pulled the tender arm of Luo Yunchang in his mad dash, leaving behind the cries and wails of the guards at their backs. "Wait, we can't just leave them." Luo Yunchang recovered after a while and said anxiously. Zhuo Fan kept going without paying her any heed. "Let go!" Luo Yunchang saw him disobeying her and threw his hand off. Zhuo Fan stopped and stared her down. "We need to go back. We can't let the guards throw their life away for us." "Can you beat them?" said Zhuo Fan. Luo Yunchang sighed with a frown. "The others are bad enough, but they have Steward's son in the 6th layer of chi condensation, while I am only in the 3rd layer and the captain in the 4th. Even if we join forces, we are still no match for him. What's the point of returning then? Let's go." Zhuo Fan snorted and grabbed her again to dash. It was now that the child in his other hand squirmed. "Stinky slave, how dare you talk back to your master? Apologize to my sister, and I won't let you but blossom in pain." Zhuo Fan looked in a daze, the pup bearing his fangs in his arm, then looked at Luo Yunchang. The young miss was angry, recalling he was but a mere servant of the Luo clan. Only now did his disrespectful words sink in. But so what? He wasn't the real Zhuo Fan anyway. Moreover, they weren't exactly the same revered Luo clan either. Your family is on the brink of being exterminated, yet you have time to nitpick. If not for the heart demon, the majestic demonic emperor would have never even minded your trifling matters. "Brat, think I won't make your butt blossom?" Zhuo Fan stared at Luo Yunhai. "You dare, slave!" Luo Yunhai glared back without fear. He grew up in the manor and knew of the gap in their status. How could he ever come to fear a servant's threat? Such a pity the one before him wasn't Luo clan's servant with a grin. Zhuo Fan bent him over the knee, pulled his pants, and slapped like no tomorrow. The sonorous slaps rang in their ears, striking Luo Yunhai and Luo Yunchang down. They never dreamed of this ever happening. A servant daring to slap a master's bum to the point even the bratty Luo Yunhai forgot about the pain. but he soon got a taste of the scorching sting on his rear. Impudent! Luo Yunchang cried in alarm, wrestling her brother from him and into her embrace. Zhuo Fan, you dare raise your hand against your master? Luo Yunchang was known in the clan for her gentle nature and warm and refined demeanor, a girl from a wealthy family that never got angry. But Zhuo Fan's act took the cake and made the rage inside her burn. Like never before, Zhuo Fan avoided her eyes as he sneered, not as daring as young miss, to the point of wasting time berating others while the enemy is just around the corner. The noise behind them was getting weaker. Zhuo Fan and Luo Yunchang were clear the guards couldn't hold on much longer. I only slapped him a few times, but if you do not run, those men will soon take his life. Zhuo Fan pointed at Luo Yunhai. Luo Yunhai was still angry, but Zhuo Fan's words struck close to home. Her brother was the only male left in the clan. She could sacrifice herself, but nothing must happen to him. After some thought, she became serious. Zhuo Fan, take young master and leave while I stall them. I refuse, blurted Zhuo Fan. If you dare leave, I will kill this brat. You. She was at a loss for words. Never would she have imagined her clan would house such an arrogant and impudent servant that would dare threaten their master. I've lived in the Luo clan for all my life and do not know the surrounding. If you leave, me and the brat won't make it. Zhuo Fan, continued Luo Yunchang, nodded in silence, her anger cooling. It made sense, but the next words flamed her anger to new heights, staring daggers at him. It won't mean much even if you die, but try not to take me down with you. You Luo Yunchang turned green, but held it in. He ignored the pair and turned to walk. Is there any place nearby where we can hide? Snorting, Luo Yunchang glared at him while ignoring the insufferable servant. But she was a young miss after all, and even though her anger never waned, she still knew to look past it in this dangerous situation. There's only farmland around us for 100 miles, and only the west face of the Blackwind Mountain is the only place few people venture in. It is a forest covered in fog that not even the mountain bandits know in detail. Then that's where we'll go. Zhuo Fan nodded. Carry your brother and lead the way. She snorted and walked forward without sparing him another. Look, just how could she stumble upon such bad luck? With the two siblings were now accompanied by an arrogant and rotten slave. She was in front and he was in the back. It was as if the master-servant roles were reversed. Never had the siblings suffered such humiliation. Chapter 7, Wraith Array. Chapter 7, Wraith Array. Looking for proofreaders for this novel. For hours later, they found them before a fog-wreathed forest. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed each time they roamed over the trees, swallowed by the mist. This is misty forest, covered in fog year-round. Any who enters will find it hard to come out. Luo Yunchang hesitated. We might lose them there, but we might also get lost for all eternity. Zhuo Fan didn't pay her much heed, inspecting the area, especially the mountain in the east, which was surrounded by clouds. Is that Blackwind Mountain? Luo Yunchang nodded. My dad said Blackwind Mountain's mountain lord has great power, no less than his. Our clans have been fine for decades, yet, for some reason, their bandits attacked out manor. He good place. Zhuo Fan rubbed his chin, showing heartfelt admiration. Azure dragon in the east, white tiger in the west, vermilion bird in the south, black tortoise in the north, and Chelan's horn in the center, breaking the sky. This is a natural array. Zhuo Fan mumbled. Such a pity. No one knowledgeable discovered it. Now that I'm here, I'll make this place my second Devil Mountain. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with joy. He was clear of this mountain's value. If this was sacred domain, only a saint could grab hold of such a place. Young miss, want to kill steward's son and the rest here. Zhuo Fan turned his head. Luo Yunchang was startled. They only numbered 3, while a strong party was hunting them down, and they had hardly enough time to escape. Just how were they going to destroy them? Luo Yunhai snorted and smiled wryly at Zhuo Fan. Stinky slave, stop bragging. Is your butt itchy again? Zhuo Fan's glare stuck Luo Yunhai's words in his throat. That round of slapping to his rear told him this servant couldn't care less for this young master. Humph! A wise man knows when to retreat. Once I get home, I'll see how tough you are. He mumbled on his sister's shoulder with her brother in her arms, and to avoid the vile servant's wrath, Luo Yunchang asked in doubt, "How?" With a light smile, Zhuo Fan extended his arm. "Young miss, how many spirit stones do you have? Please give them all to me." "What do you need them for?" Luo Yunchang watched him with a vigilant eye. "Ha ha ha. Young miss misunderstands. I'm not trying to take advantage of a declined clan and turn into an evil servant that robs it. All my actions are for your safety." "Humph. Still consider yourself a loyal servant? The way I see it, there's not a viler servant out there who can outmatch you." Luo Yunchang rubbed her pitiful brothers, as she thought that, but still gave him her ring, "This is all my wealth. If you dare lie to me, I will never forgive you." Zhuo Fan took it with a smile and sank in the mist. "Wait for me here." "Humph! This servant is too outrageous. He even dares to order his master. Sister, you need to punish him for me." Luo Yunhai raved once the servant was gone. She shook her head and looked at the roaming mist. "Yunhai, he might be rude, but he's always helping us, much better than those strong hypocrites. We can't reward kindness with enmity." Luo Yunhai thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, it's all that damn steward son's fault." Luo Yunchang was pleased and praised him. "Yunhai, you're growing up." But then he hissed through his teeth. As for that stinky slave, he should be spanked like no tomorrow. Killing him is too easy for him. Luo Yunchang was silent. Zhuo Fan walked among the white fog, his deep eyes taking in his surroundings. From time to time, his hand flashed, and a spirit stone flew out from the ring and disappeared into the ground. Despite it being his first time here, he was remarkably familiar with its layout. His path never once was disturbed by the fog. In but a quarter of an hour, he traveled across the entire forest. 9 underworld gates open. For Cardinal Wraith, array activate. His hands made signs with lightning speed. While he spoke the incantation from the 9 serenities, secret records, the wind shifted and the sky darkened. With wails, gray shadows fell from the sky and hid in the misty forest. The fog reddened, then blackened, the same color as the sky. Constant shrieks came out. The siblings held closer to each other, shaking in fear while taking steps back for some semblance of comfort. Yet the wails and shrieks stopped as soon as they started, while the sky cleared up and even the sun peeked through the clouds. Misty forest's fog dissipated and revealed a gasping Zhuo Fan walking over. "What just happened? What did you do?" Luo Yunchang watched him with bewilderment. He only waved and entered the forest. "Follow me." Luo Yunchang was suspicious. However, she led her brother behind. Zhuo Fan had a mysterious appearance that made the two not voice their doubts when they arrived at an ancient tree. Zhuo Fan said, "Stay below this tree for now. I will teach you how to control the Wraith Array, and when Steward Sun comes, you can use it to kill them." "What? This is an array?" Luo Yunchang was stunned. Arrays were even more precious than martial arts in this world. No sect would ever dare release even a normal array to outside. Even if the auction had a first-grade array, it would still sell for hundreds of thousands spirit stones. They were rare and in high demand. If their cloud manor had a protective array, they would have never sunk so low for mere bandits. Yet, at this very moment, a mere servant casually set up an array. It was impossible that this feat would result in the young miss being shocked silly. Chapter 8. Baiting the Enemy. Chapter 8. Baiting the Enemy. Looking for proofreaders for this novel. How can you? Forget about how for now and do what I said. This is a bewildering array which can affect the perceptions of others inside. And this is also a killing array, controlling wraiths to kill your enemies. Luo Yunchang copied stiffly as Zhuo Fan performed the gestures. However, he was too fast. She could only watch him do it as she fumbled to a stop, unable to remember the movements as he carried on. Stuck on the last sign, she did sigh. How are you so slow? This is the simplest method. Zhuo Fan got angry and cursed. If you keep going like this, Steward's son will be upon us. We might as well just serve ourselves on a silver platter. You're as slow as a pig. All her life, Luo Yunchang was handled with finesse and attention a pearl would need. She received others' love and respect. Never has she been mistreated like this. Degraded to such a degree, glittering tears started welling in her eyes as she lowered her head. Yet she persevered, seeing his sister humiliated. He found courage and shouted at Zhuo Fan, "Stinky slave, don't mock my sister." Zhuo Fan just shook his head. Not having the time to bicker with the brat, he found his yuan qi was only enough to start the array, failing to control it if one were to speak of a complete wraith array. Even if none of them controlled it, a trash like Steward's son would end up beaten to a pulp either way. However, he only had around 1,000 spirit stones. If not for being in natural array, he wouldn't have been able to set even a damaged one. It was now in the hands of third-layer qi condensation young miss to control the array, but for her, the method was long and complicated. It was hard to grasp. Worse, they were on the clock helpless. Zhuo Fan embraced her from behind and took hold of her hands. "What are you doing?" Luo Yunchang froze up as her cheek blossomed with red. "Don't move and let me guide you." Zhuo Fan led her hands and taught her the signs despite catching his intent, being embraced by an unfamiliar man through her heart in chaos and cheeks burned hotter. Since this was the first time it ever happened to her, each time her mind drifted, a voice would ring in her ear. "Pay attention." She peeked at him and saw how serious Zhuo Fan was, that his actions were not aimed to take advantage of her. Humph! He knows when to be a gentleman. Luo Yunchang calmed down, and her body drew nearer to his, feeling the strong arm behind her. This was the first time in the last 3 days she felt safe. Steward Sunday, they went towards the misty forest. 10 miles outside the misty forest, a lanky bandit checked for tracks and reported to him with cold laughter. Steward's son straightened his white mustache. "Quite a good hiding place. We know the mountain area, but not that eerie place." However, Steward's son looked at the bound captain, and his eyes flashed with an evil glint. "Captain Pang, you're up soon. With how kind young miss is, she won't ignore your pleas. Tui, don't think you can use me to threaten young miss." His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at Steward's son. "You'd better kill me, or I will murder you and avenge my fellow guards." "Ha ha ha, when I get the martial skill, I'll be happy to fulfill your wish." Squinting his eyes, Steward's son let out a creepy laughter. "Let's go." It took an hour for their group of 20 to reach Misty Forest, yet before they could get any closer, snoring came from a man sleeping against a tree. A careful look identified him as Zhuo Fan, Steward's son. "It's the one who killed the fatty." Woken up by the voice, Zhuo Fan yawned and opened his weary eyes. Seeing Steward's son in company, he showed no fear, no anxiety. Instead, a smile. "Steward's son, I've waited so long to see you." Frowning, Steward's son watched him. He eyed him with utmost care, yet nothing seemed to tell him anything. He was just calm. "What a deep-rooted schemer you are. I underestimated you." Thought Steward's son if it were any other time, he would have never paid attention to a servant, but ever since Steward's son witnessed Zhuo Fan kill so brutally, Steward's son's image of him turned upside down. This punk not only hid deeply, but he's also ruthless. If he matures, only suffering awaits. "Zhuo Fan, you've quite the nerve to show off before me." Squinted Steward's son at him. Zhuo Fan cut to the chase instead of replying. "Steward's son, want to make a deal." "What deal?" "I'll give you the Luo clan's young master and mistress. So, secure my career in Blackwind Mountain." "What?" Not only was Steward's son shocked, but even the guard captain was also dumbfounded. He rested his hopes on Zhuo Fan to take the siblings far away. Who'd have thought Zhuo Fan would defect and use them as bargaining chips? "Why are you doing this? Luo clan hasn't scorned you." Doubts arose in Steward's son's heart. "Ha ha ha. Then why do you?" Luo clan treated you even better. Steward's son reddened at this and felt his rage boiling as he calmed himself. Zhuo Fan continued, "Every man for himself. With how much the Luo clan has fallen, reviving it isn't something one man can do. Why should I walk towards my death? Using them to secure my life is but human nature." He picked the red rope from the ground, who followed into the mist. Young Miss is at one of the ends of the rope. I left a few forks on the rope along the way that only I know about. Steward's son nodded as he grabbed it. Good plan. To use a rope to mark your way. And you even included forks to safeguard the right trail for yourself. A true double-crosser, ha ha ha. He gave the rope back. Deal lead the way. But don't even think of playing tricks. Steward's son, I am an honest man, smiled Zhuo Fan. Steward's son sneered. I would have believed you before, but now who would? The two locked their eyes, each laughing as their looks hid devious thoughts. The captain's hair stood on end. He kept cursing Steward's son as a rotten and vile human, while he barked at Zhuo Fan as one who betrayed their master, though everyone ignored him as he was escorted by other men as they ventured into the thick mist. Chapter 9. The Array's Power. Chapter 9. The Array's Power. The row of people stuck together and held on to the red rope as they walked through the mist. Zhuo Fan went first with Steward's son right behind him, holding on to him with a firm grip on to prevent the boy from escaping because of the thick mist. One couldn't even see the figure of the one in front and relied on their hands to feel their neighbor at the heart of the misty forest, where it was impossible for anyone to escape. Zhuo Fan stopped. What is it? Steward's son was feeling apprehensive, tightening his grip on Zhuo Fan's clothes with a snicker. Zhuo Fan said, Steward's son will be pairing here. It's best if you travel the underworld river without me. With acute fear, Steward's son discovered he fell in Zhuo Fan's trap. He pulled Zhuo Fan close and slapped him. The clothes were turned to ribbons. But instead of Zhuo Fan, they held a log. When did he escape? He'd been holding tight on Zhuo Fan to prevent his escape. Yet reality showed the opposite. Turn back, quick! Steward's son rushed from where they came as soon as he shouted. The men used the rope to retrace their path, but then a shout came from the mist. The rope has been cut! It was as if lightning struck them, and they all turned pale. How would they get out of this thick mist without the rope? Steward's son stomped as he gnashed his teeth. Blast it! That brat got us. Bring that damn Pang over. Steward's son, he's gone. Bastard. Steward's son punched the ground and made a meter-wide hole in rage. He was a schemer himself. Yet he fell at the hands of a stinky brat. Damn punk. I've played this game longer than you. Don't think a puny misty forest can trap me. Steward's son roared towards the sky. Once I get out, I'll tear you to pieces. Ha ha ha. You'll never have the chance. With Zhuo Fan's mad laughter as the signal, the mist reddened. Why is the mist turning red? They were in shock by the sudden change. They were bandits that killed people for a living. Yet these strange circumstances had them on edge. Steward's son, you are wiser than most. Can you tell us what this is? Even though the bandit shouted, only silence echoed back. He felt around him, yet touched no one. As if everyone around him vanished and left him all alone. He wasn't the only one. The people that hung on to the rope began to vanish one at a time. Steward's son could hardly believe what was happening. See, can this be an array? One as old as Steward's son has seen many things and experienced even more. Yet the more he knew, the more he realized how terrible arrays were, and fear's grip his heart. An array worked using heaven and earth's energy. As long as a man controlled it, it could wipe out a dozen equal to him in power. Even if tens of experts gathered, they still could not measure to its power of all the possibilities he thought of. Not once did he consider being trapped in an array. Zhuo Fan, who exactly are you? Steward's son trembles from the feeling of dread. He saw at last that Zhuo Fan wasn't just any ordinary man. How could a simple man know how to use or set up arrays? If Zhuo Fan had taken out an array when they met, he wouldn't have had the nerve to chase him standing in the center of the array. Luo Yunchang was clear of the situation. Her eyes drifted to Zhua, filled with intrigue squinting. Zhuo Fan kept a cold and callous expression as he said, "Kill them." She followed his order. By following his hand signs, the blood-red fog changed again, this time black, and swallowed all that laid within. Now they couldn't even see themselves, only their ears picked the mournful wails of thousands of wraiths with fear as their only companion. They lost all their will to resist once the black streams of energy started burrowing inside them. They felt their soul devoured, yet were powerless to resist. All succumbed to terror at this point, smirking. Zhuo Fan's eyes shined with glee. He left Luo Yunchang and sat cross-legged in another center of the array. The 9 Serenities, secret records, stated that the demon transformation art user had a backdoor into all arrays. The men in the array were driven mad, and all he needed to do now was to absorb their yuan qi. Chapter 10, Constant Breakthrough. Chapter 10, Constant Breakthrough. Looking for proofreaders for this novel. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. 9 underworld wraiths returned to me. Zhuo Fan's hands moved as he stole the array from under Luo Yunchang's control, while also making the clear figures of Steward Sun and the rest disappear from her mind. Luo Yunchang felt it odd and redo the signs to no avail. The misty forest was drowned with shrieks and wails. Steward Sun and the rest became pitch black, but still had a sliver of awareness left as black shadows left their body each time one flew out. It evoked cries of torment as if pieces were ripped from its body. When the last shadow left, the cries stopped, and so did their life. Their body dried up like a mummy, and they turned to dust in the darkness. The shadows returned like bees to Zhuo Fan and entered his body. He accepted them with a calm face, and soon his body turned black, just like Steward Sun did. When the last shadow burrowed, he began doing hand signs to practice the demon transformation art. The still black yuan qi inside him boiled as it charged through his meridians and settled in his dantian. And his power grew with it. In an instant, he entered the 6th layer of foundation establishment. In the next instant, he was in the 7th, and then he was at peak 7th layer. He kept going like this through the 8th layer, then the 9th, until the peak of foundation establishment. He opened his eyes and took a deep breath as he clenched his hands. Feeling the power course through him this time, it wasn't as easy. The wraiths were almost spent when he demonified the yuan qi for himself. But with his experience as a veteran demonic cultivator, he understood that breaking through in a state of exhausted yuan qi holds much more value with his future progress. He clenched his teeth and operated the cultivation method. He sucked the wraiths dry and used the remaining yuan qi. He had to make one final push bang. Zhuo Fan heard something explode. He felt as if a dam broke and his body coursed with powerful yuan qi, then settled in his dantian to replenish his spent reserves. This act of scraping for the last traces of energy enlarged his meridians by more than double qi condensation. Zhuo Fan's eyes opened with glee. Even when he did this in his previous life, his meridians were nowhere near as wide as they were now, and the yuan qi in his dantian allowed him to face an expert at qi condensation. He was 3 times as powerful as before. He released a long breath and made some hand signs to release the wraiths. They turned back to gray, and he went back to normal when all wraiths were gone. Zhuo Fan stood up, and a single wave from his hands pushed away the black fog. Allowing the sun's rays to land on the forest, he could now control the array himself. No longer needing Luo Yunchang's assistance, he showed a small smile as he looked at the sky. Now that I'm in the qi condensation, I can practice some martial arts. Despite the end of Steward Sun and his retinue of bandits, Zhuo Fan had managed to free the Luo clan siblings. It could be said Zhuo Fan benefited the most out of this. Without devouring Steward Sun, he would have never reached qi condensation. It was at this stage that he could practice martial arts. Later, not only could he defend himself, but also easier to devour others, becoming stronger himself. Zhuo Fan. A clear shout came from Luo Yunchang as she came over, embracing her brother. Meanwhile, the guard captain followed behind. Where did you run off to? Why did I lose control of the array? Perhaps there were too few spirit stones and the array collapsed. I just saw Steward Sun die. This is worthy of celebration. No one escaped. Dodged to a fan, he wasn't about to reveal his secret, because in this world, demonic cultivators were strong, uncanny, and cultivated with shocking speed, and his demon transformation art was even more monstrous. If others knew, he'd be a public enemy. This was why he died last time. So, for his second life, he made sure to avoid any mistakes. Luo Yunchang nodded, believing him after some hesitation. Captain Pang toughened his resolve and kneeled. Brother Zhuofan, I was too reckless before, unaware of your plan, and still cursed you. If you must punish me, I will accept any that you might have for me. Even if you ask for my head, I will gladly offer it. Zhuofan nodded inside. Captain Pang was a loyal retainer. If Zhao Chen had this level of devotion, Zhuofan wouldn't have fallen so low, sighing inside. He helped Captain Pang up. Captain Pang is a captain of the guards, while I am just a mere servant. How could I receive such courtesy? Moreover, we have young Miss to thank for setting up an array to eliminate Steward Sun's group. Luo Yunchang watched him, confused, only nodding when he threw Luo Yunchang a look, although Luo Yunchang didn't know why Zhao Chen avoided admitting he was the one who set the array. He did save her and still deferred for her opinion. Captain Pang turned to Luo Yunchang in shock. Young Miss knows arrays! Luo Yunchang laughed, embarrassed, forced to admit it. Heaven protected the Luo clan. Young Miss knows arrays. Our rise is imminent. Captain Pang threw his head back and laughed. Exhilarated by the prospect, Zhuofan rubbed his nose. Luo Yunchang stole a glance at Zhuofan. If Luo clan is to rise, it's only thanks to this man. Chapter 11. Entering Wingay City. Chapter 11. Entering Wingay City. Zhuofan understood her and quickly said, now that we no longer have Steward Sun breathing down our necks, what does young Miss intend to do next? We were planning on seeking shelter at Kai Manor. Captain Pang spoke before she could. This captain of the guards no longer treated Zhuofan as a common servant, but of equal status. You should know that Kai Clan's young master has a marriage agreement with young Miss. Wingay City's Kai Clan. Zhuofan rubbed his chin, nodding according to this body's memories. Kai Clan was the best clan in the Wingay City, of the same power as Luo clan. If he could hand over the Luo siblings to them, then the grudge would be settled and his heart demon lightened. Maybe it could even be dispelled. Zhuofan nodded at this thought. All right, let's go to the Kai clan. But not before he took one last look at Blackwind Mountain, mumbling, I'll be back. At the same time, in a dark cave atop Blackwind Mountain, a malevolent youth was on a large seat. His eyes were filled with cruelty as they flicked to his subordinate. Any news of Steward Sun? Our reporting to young lord. Steward Sun said he'd soon have the martial art. The bandit was shaking like a leaf, fearing to even meet the youth's eyes. Ha ha ha, withdraw. Yes. The bandit wiped the sweat from his head, not lingering one moment more if he could help it. From fear of being eaten, the youth rose and moved behind the cover placed at the back of his seat. An old man laid there, glaring with fury at him. His lips trembled, but no words came out. The youth patted the man's hand with a smile. Master, be at ease. Your friend left first and is waiting for you. Once returning Dragon Palm arrives, I will reunite you two old friends. The old man's eyes were bloodshot at this, as if wanting to eat him alive. Despite the constant trembling, he could do nothing else in response. The youth's savage and vicious laughter echoed throughout the cave. Wingay City was the largest city in 100 miles and a 10-day journey from the Luo clan. From fear of other bandits pursuing them, Zhuofan and the others sped up and reached it in 5 once inside. The bustling of the city assaulted them while also bringing some comfort. All the tension accumulated over these past days seemed to seep from them now that she was finally around other people. Luo Yunchang's strained face finally revealed a smile. Yunhai, look there! Pulling his hand, she pointed at a juggling stall. Captain Pang was happy to know the fall of the young Miss clan didn't put a damper on her spirits. Brother Zhuofan, I seem to recall you never came to Wingay City. Zhuo Fan just nodded. Captain Pang was stunned at that Wingay City's bustle was famous around these parts. He recalled the last time he came here and was so excited he couldn't sleep for 3 nights. Why was it that a homegrown kid who never saw the flourishing city didn't even flinch? Of course, how could he know? In Zhuo Fan's eyes, this place was no different than a village. Old Pang, is Kai Clan far from here? Sharing hardships brought them closer, and even started calling each other brothers. Luo Yunchang spoke before Captain Pang could. We don't need to go so quickly. I and Yunhai must make an official visit first. Then I will come see you. Stay at a tavern in the meantime. So annoying, frowned Zhuo Fan with a bitter smile. Captain Pang just shrugged. Can't be helped. There's no one rushing us now. If we go there now, they will laugh at us for not showing propriety. Fine, you go first. Zhuo Fan sighed, but nodded as long as the siblings were safe and he gained his freedom. Waiting for a bit more wouldn't hurt. After 5 days of silence, someone couldn't restrain their temper and began running his mouth. Humph, stinky slave. Wingay City is my sister's domain. Just you wait, see how I'll deal with you. Luo Yinhai crossed his arms and flared his nostrils, becoming the same old, impertinent young master from before Bam. He didn't get to enjoy it, though, as Zhuo Fan delivered a healthy kick to his rear. He flew a meter and landed on his face. No need to wait, let's settle this now. Luo Yunchang rushed to help her brother and glared at Zhuo Fan. Why do you always pick on a child? It's your brother who needs a spanking. Zhuo Fan shot her a look, then waved. Go already. After you settle in. If you still look at me with such discontent, I will not hesitate to leave you. Luo Yunchang snorted and left while hugging her brother. Luo Yunhai rested his head on her shoulder. Face red, as if choking, but not daring to make a peep. Even a child like him understood the 2 siblings had no power in the forest and suffered at the hands of that despicable and dastardly servant. But now that they were in Wingay City, his sister's turf, it didn't seem to make much difference. Why am I getting beaten by that damned slave again? Does this slave fear not even heaven and earth? Luo Yinhai never saw anyone like him in the Luo clan. Captain Pang watched this unfold with shock, to say the least. As his eyes were close to popping, not even he knew Zhuo Fan was so daring and impertinent that he'd beat up the young master right in front of young Miss. Yet she did not make a complaint nor retaliate. Young Miss dotted on her brother, never once being harsh with him. Yet Zhuo Fan trampled over young master with no regard to her, with uncanny ease and skill. Now he understood why young master looked at Zhuo Fan like a mouse eyeing a cat, wiping the sweat off his forehead. Captain Pang said, Brother Zhuo Fan, young master is your lord. If not out of respect for the young miss, do it out of respect for her husband. How could you kick him? Zhuo Fan laughed, then shrugged. No one was a lord in his eyes. Everything he did was to remove the heart demon. Chapter 12, Odd Girl. Chapter 12, Odd Girl. They won't come back for a while. Let's stroll around the city. Zhuo Fan turned around and walked away. Captain Pang knew he didn't take his words to heart and sigh as he followed. They were soon in the market area. This was where rogue cultivators sold their wares, to exchange items or other cultivating materials with Zhuo Fan's experience. He should be able to find goods which others overlooked. The 2 visited many stalls, and many times Captain Pang wanted to put his hands in his pocket. But when he saw Zhuo Fan walking away with a dull look, he followed suit. Perhaps he wasn't aware, but the Grand Captain of the Guard was reduced to following Zhuo Fan at every step. AI, since when did the world overflow with overlooked treasures? Let's just go. Zhuo Fan scoured the market, but nothing caught his eye. It was then he heard a ruckus. He went to see a stall owner and a red-faced girl in a heated dispute. He led Captain Pang through the crowd center and saw the girl's appearance. She wore white clothes with fine eyebrows like a crescent moon and looked calmed and gentle. Even when yelled at, she never lost her smile, as if she never got angry. She persevered despite opposition. This black jade is fake. How is it fake? This is the purest black jade, one that if left in the sun for a day will still feel cool to the touch. If worn as a pendant, cultivation will be much easier. The man spat nonstop about how pure it was. Young miss, do you understand what I'm saying? She shook her head, but her smile never faltered. I do not know much about black jade, but I have seen one, so I can tell this one's a fake. Ha ha ha. You saw it once and dare to say you find this one fake? Did you hear, everyone? Has there ever been such an absurd situation in the world? It has, and I know I'm right. If we talk about price, the worst black jade is worth 10 spirit stones, while the best 100. Yet yours is only 3 spirit stones. Get out of here. Enough with your rubbish, little girl. Don't ruin my business. How could you possibly know of its value? The girl smiled while staring at the man. He felt a rage burning inside, but had nowhere to vent, as the saying goes. You can't strike one who only smiled. The girl kept denying the black jade's price without a solid reason. If it was any other person, he would have slapped them silly. But her smile left him powerless to even lift his hand. That black jade is indeed fake. A man's voice echoed out, and the crowd saw Zhuo Fan watching the girl with a smile. Young Miss eyes are true, but cannot explain where the fault lies. As everyone knows, reality is a matter of perception. What's real can be fake, and what's fake can be real. The girl was taken aback, but nodded, while scrutinizing him. Zhuo Fan turned to the crowd. Everyone, is it possible to prepare a few things? Sulfur, clover. He enumerated some of the most common things, and some people already bought them under everyone's eyes. Zhuo Fan threw them in water, stirred, and said to the stall owner, Please place the black jade inside. Humph, you're just washing it. He was also confident, even as he placed it inside, but once it entered, the water began to bubble and turn red. It even released a faint hint of blood energy. How can it be? The stall owner was shocked. The girl also watched wide-eyed, astonished. Ha ha ha, no need to be so surprised. This black jade was just an imitation that will show its real color once introduced to water. Zhuo Fan took the black jade and gave it to the owner. Now you should know this lady was right. That bastard lied to me. He sold it to me for 20 spirit stones. The stall owner gnashed his teeth. This black jade is only worth 3 spirit stones. The girl declared her assessment, then smiled to Zhuo Fan. Mister has good eyes. I knew it was fake, but couldn't pinpoint the difference. I thank Mister for his intervention. It was nothing. I have also seen this once. Zhuo Fan smiled. Young miss, won't you buy it? It's just 3 stones now. No need. I only wanted to inform others of the stone's real price. She chuckled and left, watching her figure fading into the crowd. Captain Pang sighed next to Zhuo Fan. What an odd girl! Zhuo Fan, on the other hand, breathed out relieved as he muttered, That girl's eyes are sharp and sinister. It's a good thing she is still inexperienced, or she would have taken the treasure without hesitation. He then turned to the black jade, eyes shining with excitement, but the stall owner was sighing as he packed his things, ready to go home. Chapter 13, Blood Spirit. Chapter 13, Blood Spirit. Never thought I'd make a mistake. The stall owner was carrying his bag while walking along a remote alley. He didn't talk, just sighed as he walked, but then a voice came from behind. Owner, please wait. He stopped with a startle and looked to see Zhuo Fan walking over. You're the one from before. He recognized Zhuo Fan. It was him who showed everyone his black jade was fake. Is there something you need? Ha ha ha, owner. I like your black jade and will pay 10 spirit stones for it. Zhuo Fan laughed, taking glances at the man's bag after some muttering. The owner looked oddly at Zhuo Fan. Mister, you know this stone is fake, so why pay 10 spirit stones? The lady said it was worth 3. Shaking his head, Zhuo Fan added, Even if it is fake, it can still pass off for the real thing. I might be able to sell it as a black jade. Oh, I see. You want to trick others into buying it. The owner nodded in understanding, then scanned around. Since this is the case, things are different now. It is worth much more than just 10 spirit stones. How much do you want then? Zhuo Fan squinted with murderous intent. At least 50. The owner showed his own sneaky side. If not, I'll just find my own target and sell it at 100. Thanks to Zhuo Fan's reminder, the owner realized how rare were people who could tell the real black jade from fake. He could sell the fake himself and earn a fortune. Are you buying, or do I have to look elsewhere? Seeing Zhuo Fan's expression, the owner knew he didn't have that many spirit stones on him. But it was fine since he could sell it himself and dupe another in the process. He walked away. The moment he took the first step, a hand grabbed his shoulder like an iron claw, eliciting a shout of pain from the owner. Owner, don't be too greedy. Zhuo Fan warned, Humph, so what if I am? The black jade is mine, and I'll sell it at whatever price I want. His voice choked as a black yuan qi entered his body after his body turned black. A breeze scattered his dust into the wind, releasing his breath. Zhuo Fan felt his yuan qi grow a bit. He was a first-layer qi condensation expert. The seventh-layer foundation establishment owner hardly helped in increasing his power. He just wanted to trade. But the owner had to be ruthless and force his hand. Zhuo Fan took the black jade and returned to the tavern. He wasn't addicted to killing, but some people were addicted to courting death. Zhuo Fan met with Captain Pang at the tavern and threw him a pouch. Old Pang here. Captain Pang didn't understand. The 10 spirit stones are all here? Didn't you buy it? Zhuo Fan left Captain Pang at the tavern after borrowing 10 spirit stones, saying he found something that caught his eye. Yet the same spirit stones were left in the bag untouched. Oh, that old man was so nice, he just gave it to me. Zhuo Fan dodged also. Old Pang, guard my door and don't let anyone come in. With that, he closed the door to his room. Captain Pang found it strange, but since they were like brothers now, he helped him out. As such, he sat before Zhuo Fan's door as a guard. Zhuo Fan was clear as to what happened beyond his door, and nodded, pleased. He lucked out in finding such a loyal man next. He settled the black jade on the table and released his dark yuan qi bam. The stone's exterior cracked and fell, revealing a blood-red light. It was no longer a black jade, but a bloody one. Moreover, it gave the impression of a heart as it flashed on and off like heartbeats. I knew it. It's the blood spirit. Zhuo Fan swallowed, his face working hard to restrain the obvious delight in his voice. The blood spirit stems from any stone. Its only requirement of formation is to be bathed in the blood of millions of people, absorbing the essence of sun and moon for thousands of years. It would take form. It was a demonic cultivator treasure, rarest of treasures. A cultivator would use the blood spirit to form a blood infant. In battle, he could send the blood infant to absorb the opponent's blood essence, then kill him. And the blood infant could grow along with the cultivator. Once Zhuo Fan grew strong enough, even an emperor wouldn't dare mess with it. According to the 9 Serenities secret records, there was once an ancient demonic cultivator expert, patriarch blood demon, that trained the blood infant to the saint stage. Even the ancient 10 emperors were unwilling to make an enemy out of him. Patriarch blood demon felt invincible and went to challenge 9 Serenities emperor for the title of the strongest demonic cultivator. It was a drawn-out battle, with the 9 Serenities emperor heavily wounded at the end. Barely overcoming the patriarch blood demon by half a move, however, the 9 Serenities emperor obtained patriarch blood demon's secret method to raise the blood infant, improved it, and added it to the demon transformation art. The 9 Serenities emperor wanted to train the blood infant too, but never got the chance. Never did he, Zhuo Fan, the demonic emperor, think he'd have such a stroke of luck after rebirthing to train the blood infant if he had it in his past life. A saint would have been nothing. The thought made him eager to slash his wrist and pour his blood onto the blood jade. Chapter 14. Refining the blood infant. Chapter 14. Refining the blood infant. Plop, plop. Just like how an infant breathed, each drop of blood landed on the stone and disappeared the next instant. The stone started to throb, and the sensation only grew stronger with each drop of blood. Zhuo Fan smiled viciously and pushed out more blood for the jade if he wanted to refine the blood infant. He needed to bathe it in his blood until the blood spirit synchronized both their breathing and heartbeat. The seconds trickled by as Zhuo Fan's blood thinned, But the blood spirit was never sated. Devouring everything, he gave Zhuo Fan, licked his dried lips, growing paler as his mind was clouded. He knew the loss of blood was too great, but he'd come too far now. There was only one chance to refine the blood infant. If he stopped, it'd be like throwing a child away. It would think Zhuo Fan abandoned it and would never approve of him ever again. This was why there was no going back. Once Zhuo Fan started the process, after an hour, Zhuo Fan felt the world spinning. If he dared keep this up, it would endanger his life. If his life came at an end, the blood spirit would lose its meaning. Just as he was considering abandoning the process, an indescribable feeling arose in his heart. Zhuo Fan was stunned, then overjoyed. His mind and the blood spirit were now connected. He held onto the bloodstone and activated the demon transformation art. Black Yuan Qi enveloped the stone, and strands of blood left it to enter Zhuo Fan finally. The bloodstone shattered with a loud sound, and a red glow shot for his body. Zhuo Fan checked in glee and saw the red palm-sized infant resting in his dantian, sensing his eyes. The infant opened his eyes, then went to sleep. This is the blood infant. After a moment of stupefaction, he jumped in joy. He never thought it would be so easy to refine the blood infant. Even though he succeeded, he lost too much blood. When he stood up, his legs went soft and hit the ground. But even that couldn't wipe the grin off his face. Now that I have the blood infant, the next step is to settle on a martial art to learn. Blood palm, a mid-mortal ranked martial art. The palm would rain havoc to one's blood and reverse its flow. Thanks to also having the blood infant, it was now savage enough to even damage one's blood essence despite a mere mid-mortal ranked. Its power was as strong as a high mortal ranked martial art. It might even surpass it. 10 days later, the door opened with a creak, and Zhuo Fan came out grinning. Captain Pang rose to his feet and rubbed his eyes. Why did you take so long? Kai Manor already sent someone over. Seeing the dead, tired old Pang, Zhuo Fan smiled. Old Pang, thank you for your hard work. Ai, what hard work between brothers. But we cannot let young miss and young master wait for too long. You're not curious what I've been doing the past 10 days. That is your business. You'll tell me when you want to. Captain Pang waved indifferently, pulling Zhuo Fan with haste towards Kai Manor. Zhuo Fan was touched seeing this rough man. Despite not knowing each other for long, old Pang had complete trust in him. This never happened for all his life. As demonic emperor, they arrived an hour later before a majestic gate with a sign inscribed in golden letters. Kai Manor, just when they were about to enter, the guards stopped them. Stop. Who are you to dare enter Kai Manor? Captain Pang clasped his hand. Ha ha ha. I am Luo Clan's captain of the guard, Pang Yu, and this is Luo Clan's steward, Zhuo Fan. My young miss and young master are guests in your home. Zhuo Fan was taken aback. Since when did he become the Luo Clan steward? Pang Yu knew what he was thinking and whispered. 8 days ago, Kai Clan's men came to say you are Luo Clan's steward. Young miss must have done it. Congratulations, brother Zhuo. He, shaking his head out of helplessness. Zhuo Fan let out a bitter smile. He didn't want to be some steward, but to entrust the safety of the siblings to the Kai clan and free himself of the heart demon. How could the grand demonic emperor be a puny clan steward? But just as how he looked down on the Luo clan, so to the guards of the Kai Manor, the 2 guards shot a glance filled with contempt. Humph! Another 2 showed up to cheat their way to a free meal. Hey, what did you say? Captain Pang was pissed and wanted to argue, but Zhuo Fan stopped him. They walked inside. Captain Pang didn't understand. Why did you stop me? Zhuo Fan only had a grave expression. These 2 servers' attitude was a reflection of their lords. Nothing good would come out of talking to them. The 2 needed to find Luo Yunchang and understand what was happening. The Kai Manor might not be such a good place to place his trust in after some inquiry. They arrived at the siblings' dwelling, seeing the wretched place they lived in. Even lower than the tavern rooms, Captain Pang cursed. Why is the Kai clan treating young miss and young master like this? They are even less than guests. Not just that, they don't even consider them humans. Zhuo Fan felt anger seething inside. If not because of the siblings' injustice, then because of wasting his time and energy. Let's go in. Zhuo Fan rushed next to Captain Peng, who was in a hurry to open the door. Inside, they saw Luo Yunhai sitting on the bed, crestfallen. Without his usual enthusiasm, the place was crude. With just a broken chair and a broken table, Captain Peng's eyes teared up. "Young master, don't be sad." "Kid, where's your sister?" Zhuo Fan was blunt. With no sympathy, it seemed Zhuo Fan's beating casted a shadow on his heart. The lifeless Luo Yunhai shivered and woke up. Luo Yunhai stammered at the raging Zhuo Fan. "Sister, wanna look for him, hick?" "Young Master Kai, to help rebuild the Cloud Manor." Asking for help in this situation is asking for humiliation. "Let's go look for your sister." Zhuo Fan dragged Luo Yunhai off the bed. His attitude worse than ever. Captain Peng was in a panic, wanting to stop Zhuo Fan from being so rude to his master. But Zhuo Fan's mood seemed to put him off, and all the courage left him as such. Luo Yunhai was shaking in fear as he led them. Captain Peng cashed up to them, thinking, just who is the Lord here? Chapter 15. Annulled Marriage. Chapter 15. Annulled Marriage. Next to a clear stream, an elegant man was frolicking with a charming lady in red. They chased each other around the pond. Laughing all the while in this peaceful place, Luo Yunchang felt only sorrow as she watched the flirting couple. But for the good of the clan, she braced herself and stepped forward, brother shouting. The mood of the man turned sour as he glared at her. "Luo Yunchang, I thought I made myself clear. From now on, I have nothing more to do with you. My eyes are only for Yufei. Yeah, now get lost. Brother shouting doesn't love you anymore." The lady in red sneered at her, biting her lip. Luo Yunchang's eyes missed over at the time when Luo and Kai clans were on good terms. The parents of both families arranged their marriage. She and Kai shouting grew up together and swore their love for each other. To never abandon the other, this was why the first person she thought of was her fiancé when she needed help, yet reality was cruel. Ever since they came here, she and her brother kept suffering, while Kai shouting had the arrogant and insufferable Sun clan's young miss, Sun Yufei. Next to him, she knew all hope of marrying into the Kai clan was lost. But for the sake of rebuilding her clan, she hoped to stir clan head Kai's amiable emotions the two clans had in the past and lend a helping hand. Yet clan head Kai Rong was cold and unfeeling to their plight. Not moving an inch, the siblings stayed here for 10 days, all in hope of gaining some assistance. But since Kai Rong ignored her, she could only turn to Kai shouting, brother shouting. "I don't ask for you to go through with the engagement, and only hope you can persuade your father, for old time's sake, and help the Luo clan. It has nothing to do with me. Talk with Dad." Kai shouting waved his sleeve coldly. Luo Yunchang kneeled with tears streaming down her cheeks, brother shouting, "If you don't agree, I will kneel here until I die." Taking a long look at her, Kai shouting frowned and was plagued by hesitation, but then Sun Yufei jumped between them and slapped Luo Yunchang. The blow threw her back and blood trickled from her mouth. "Humph, bitch, Kai shouting is mine. Stay away from him." Sun Yufei's phoenix eyes glared and raved. She turned to Kai shouting and said harshly, "You stay away from her too. If I find there's still something left between you, I will leave you." As if waking up, he nodded and swore, "Yufei, relax, my heart is yours. Other girls are dirt compared to you." Kai shouting's eyes showed his sincere feelings, watching her like a love-struck puppy. Sun Yufei nodded pleased. As Luo Yunchang's face turned ashen, she knew her last hope faded away. Whoosh! A shadow flashed by, and 2 slaps echoed. Sun Yufei and Kai shouting were still confused about what happened, when a red handprint appeared on their faces. Zhuo Fan stood in front of Luo Yunchang as he stared at them. "A damn illicit couple dares to ruin my affairs." "Who are you?" Sun Yufei and Kai shouting woke up with a start. They were geniuses of Wind Gaze City, chi condensation experts, and peerless in their generation, yet here was Zhuo Fan, of similar age, yet faster than even them. They got slapped before they could react. Is it possible for such an individual to exist in this world? As the scene played out, only Captain Pang and Luo Yunhai came to Luo Yunchang's help, seeing the thin figure in front. Captain Pang was even more shocked, although he was an expert in the fourth layer of qi condensation, while Kai Shouting was in the third, a level beneath him. They had different upbringings, and if they clashed, he might even lose, yet such arrogant geniuses were slapped by Zhuo Fan. Thinking about the power he displayed in the forest, Captain Pang couldn't help but wonder how he got so strong in such a short span of time, ignoring the two and the shocked Captain Pang. Zhuo Fan turned to the crying and pitiful Luo Yunchang and felt pain in his heart. Wretched heart, demon. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth with his demonic emperor disposition. He could look beyond the world's entire sufferings. How could a girl's humiliation ever cause him pain? He could only attribute it to this body's former soul, who felt anger for his master. AI, it looks like I'll be stuck with the Luo clan for some time. Zhuo Fan sighed inside as he wiped Luo Yunchang's tears. Let's go. Luo Yunchang nodded. There was no point in staying here. She carried the bitter Luo Yunhai and walked with Captain Pang's help. Humph! Don't think you can run after hitting us. Sun Yufei shrieked as she barred their way. Kai Shouting chimed in. Luo Yunchang, you think this is a place you can come and go as you please? Luo Yunchang was filled with grief and balled her fists. She regretted ever coming here for help. Facing this overbearing couple in their home, she could only rein in her anger if she were alone. She would have rather fight them for her honor, but she still had her brother. If he died, she would be too ashamed to meet her parents in the underworld river. "W, what do you want?" Luo Yunchang's voice trembled. Humph, simple. Kneel and kowtow 3 times. Sun Yufei smiled viciously and pointed at Zhuo Fan, especially him. Clenching his teeth, Captain Pang's eyes went red, wanting nothing more than to beat them senseless. This was too humiliating. Luo Yunchang hesitated, then closed her eyes as her knees bent. Kneel, all of you. They could all hear her faint, mournful voice. Sun Yufei stuck out her chin with arrogance and smiled with pride. Bam! Before they kneeled, Sun Yufei and Kai Shouting took the initiative to kneel first with a cry. Rather saying they kneeled, it was better to say their knees were forcible, smacked onto the pavement. Chapter 16. Tomorrow you'll be beneath me. Chapter 16. Tomorrow you'll be beneath me. Cracks spread like spiderwebs on the pavement. If they weren't qi condensation experts, their knees would be crushed. Unable to walk again, the two grimaced as they looked up to see Zhuo Fan standing before them. You again! The couple knew Zhuo Fan was the only one among the group who had the power to attack them out of the blue. Even if you beg on your knees now, I won't ever let you go. Sun Yufei glared scornfully at Zhuo Fan, howling with rage. Paw, paw. 2 hits echoed, and Zhuo Fan kicked them without hesitation. You want me to kneel? You think too highly of yourselves. Sun Yufei and Kai Shouting were dumbfounded. Even forgetting the pain from the kick, slapping them to help Luo Yunchang out of a predicament was something they could understand. To make amends, they were ordered to kneel. Yet the steward still had the guts to strike them. Was he not afraid they would never be allowed to leave Kai Manor alive? Captain Pang was enraged by the two's act, but he looked at it from a different perspective and felt it was better to endure, or the Luo clan would be perishing. Here Luo Yunchang smiled dejectedly. Others didn't understand Zhuo Fan, while she gained first-hand knowledge of his violent character in the forest. He never once acted like a servant. He just did whatever he wanted. She just could not cope with the fact their Luo clan had such a servant, yet Luo Yunhai's attitude changed completely. He now looked at Zhuo Fan with worship and adoration. This damnable slave's nerve that always bullied him wasn't limited to picking on his masters, but even on others. He just didn't know fear. In that instant, the image of the damnable slave turned into an almighty hero coming to rescue the Luo clan. Who dares to act impertinently in the Kai clan's domain? A man's rebuke echoed as he appeared before them. Luo Yunchang's face dropped. She pulled her brother so close that even he could feel her anxiety. Kai, shouting, was overjoyed. "Dad, you're here! He is looking for trouble with our Kai clan." Knowing clan head Kai Rong came, Zhuo Fan eyed him more carefully. Kai Rong looked to be in his 50, tall and sturdy, and a powerful aura emanating from him. 8th layer of bone tempering. Smiled Zhuo Fan. Kai Rong's eyebrows jumped as shock flashed over his face. He never thought possible for a youth to see through his cultivation. Good eyes. Patronized Kai Rong. "May I ask who you are?" "Luo clan steward, Zhuo Fan." Kai Rong was startled and observed him closely. He heard from Luo Yunchang that Luo clan had a new steward since the old one turned traitor, but he didn't think it'd be one as young as Zhuo Fan. And he also gave off a strange energy if it were any other time. A fox like him would never mess with an unknown variable like Zhuo Fan. Such a pity there was now a power in this city he could offend even less. "Uncle Kai, you must bring justice to us victims." Sun Yufei revealed the red print on her face while glaring at Zhuo Fan. Kai Rong understood the situation in an instant. He placated her. "Don't worry, Uncle Kai is here now." He then turned solemn as he looked at Luo Yunchang. "Yunchang, I took you, siblings, out of kindness. It is fine if you do not reciprocate, but why look for trouble?" Luo Yunchang shuddered. Lost for words, Zhuo Fan stepped forward with a smile. "You even bully a lady at your age, clan head Kai. I needn't say anything more. Moreover, stop preaching kindness. No need to mince words. You did it out of benefit, or you wouldn't have annulled the marriage. All right, since you want us to be hostile, I won't be lenient." Kai Rong's face changed. "Today, I will have to settle this for Yufei. You need only handle my palm attack. I won't take advantage of you and only use 2/10. Let life and death be decided like this." 2/10. As his pupils shrunk, Captain Pang shouted, "Coming from you, it's even stronger than a 9th layer Qi condensation experts all-out attack. You clearly want us dead. Uncle Kai, I beg you. Yun Hai is still a child. He is innocent." Yunchang implored, but Kai Rong snorted, then smiled at Sun Yufei. "All right, I'll go first." Zhuo Fan's mouth perked up. Whoosh. A great red palm appeared in the air. Kai Rong didn't expect for Zhuo Fan to attack first, and turned serious as he sent his own palm attack at contact. The blood palm scattered and Zhuo Fan fell back 10 steps, yet was unharmed. A 2nd layer Qi condensation can withstand 2/10 of my power. Kai Rong's heart was in shock. "But your survival all came down to luck." "Ha ha ha, the only reason I'm still alive is because I don't believe in luck." And he pointed at Kai Rong's hand with a grin. "But power." Kai Rong's eyes squinted. His hand was bleeding from the previous exchange. How could this be? He is just a 2nd layer Qi condensation cultivator, while I am an 8th layer bone tempering cultivator. That's a whole stage difference. Furthermore, followed Zhuo Fan, "You really think that was 2/10? That wasn't even a 10th. Kai Rong began to recall what transpired despite the abruptness of it all. He indeed wanted to release 2/10, but when he released the palm, his blood fell in disorder, and the result was obvious to all. Also, take a look at your son. Zhuo Fan pointed at Kai, shouting. Kai Rong saw his son spat a mouthful of blood. Dad, W, what's happening? Kai, shouting, panicked. He wasn't wounded, yet he puked blood. Zhuo Fan, what the hell did you do? Kai Rong roared. Zhuo Fan replied with a sneer. I only wanted to tell clan head Kai I can take your son's life anytime. Please take it into consideration. As Kai Rong was hesitating, Zhuo Fan pointed again, eliciting another mouth of blood from Kai, shouting, All right, I believe you. Kai Rong wiped his brow of sweat as he spoke in a shaky voice. He didn't know what trick he pulled on his son, but Zhuo Fan was prepared for his intervention. He was now regretting. If he knew the Luo clan had such a shrewd and decisive steward, he wouldn't have taken things this far. Then, I will bid you farewell here. Clan head Kai. Zhuo Fan sneered as he cupped his hands, then pulled Luo Yunchang and walked away. Zhuo Fan laughed all the while. Today you love to bully me. Tomorrow you'll be beneath me. Uncle Kai, are you letting him go? Sun Yufei said with resentment, sighing helplessly. Kai Rong muttered as he watched Zhuo Fan leave. Instead of offering shelter, I invited an enemy. Shaking his head, he helped Kai, shouting, walk inside. After a few steps, his eyes flashed as he turned to Sun Yufei. Yufei, we need to end Zhuo Fan as soon as possible. He will endanger your Sun clan. Humph! You don't dare to attack him because of your son. My Sun clan isn't afraid. I will let him have a taste of what it means to offend the 7 noble houses. Sun Yufei spoke with hatred. Chapter 17, Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Chapter 17, Veiled Dragon Pavilion. As the 3 left Kai Manor, Captain Pang and Luo Yunchang were trembling, and even looked back now and then for fear of Kai Rong having changed his mind. Only Zhuo Fan was calm, yet a bit of rage still existed in his heart. Young miss, is there anywhere else we can go? Zhuo Fan asked in a cold tone. Her eyes turned misty as she shook her head. Captain Pang also signed in sorrow, taking a deep breath. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and promised himself to run the Kai clan into the ground one day. He was just a step away from providing a safe haven for the Luo siblings. Yet Kai clan's father and son ruined it all. If the day came that the Kai clan was ruined because they offended Zhuo Fan, Kai Rong would be twisting inside with regret, but that was the future. Now Zhuo Fan was pissed. His hopes were dashed, and he had to spend more time to look after the siblings. Zhuo Fan mumbled for a while, then said, Young miss, do you know what are the 7 noble houses? What? Dubby, where did you hear that from? Luo Yunchang was in a panic as she watched Zhuo Fan. It was as if he knew a heavenly secret. But recalling the fantastic events that happened the past days, she relaxed. Captain Pang also looked oddly at Luo Yunchang. This was the first time he heard of them, pursing her lips for a long time. Luo Yunchang finally spoke in a solemn tone. Since we lived in Cloud Manor and had no dealings with them, not knowing them is normal. But we are now wandering outside. If you ever meet someone from the 7 noble houses, you must avoid him, even if it's a dog. Captain Pang was shocked. This was his first time seeing Luo Yunchang speaking on such a heavy tone, as if she was talking about horrifying people. Yet a proud girl like her, even if from a fallen clan, did not speak near as highly about the Kai clan. The warning seemed to go right past Zhuo Fan as he retained his calm, be it Luo clan or Kai clan. Regardless of how strong they are only mortal clans. But in Tanyu Empire, there are 7 officials who earn the imperial family's approval and can stand next to the emperor. Their power and territory are above all mortal clans. Fighting them is like going against the empire. What? This world has clans that can stand next to the imperial family? Captain Pang's face contorted in fear. Luo Yunchang nodded with extreme seriousness. Every clan knows these 7 families must not be touched. I am telling you this so that you all must remember to be careful. Is the Sun clan one of them? Interrupted Zhuo Fan, stunned for a second. Luo Yunchang shook her head. Why do you ask? Yeah, Brother Zhuo. If she was of the 7 houses, then young miss would have stopped you from smacking her. Captain Pang snickered. Since Luo Yunchang didn't stop him, then she agreed in silence. As if she was found out, Luo Yunchang reddened and glared at him. In fact, seeing Sun Yufei slapped was the most refreshing event for Luo Yunchang. Since Captain Pang could tell how glad the girl was, how could Zhuo Fan not? But Zhuo Fan's vision was much further. Even if they had a falling out with the Sun clan, he had to understand the other's background. Then is the Sun clan part of the 7 houses? What made you come to that conclusion? Luo Yunchang was feeling nervous for some reason. Her only hope right now was that Zhuo Fan was joking around to scare her, but his next words were spoken with a straight face. That girl raved how she'll let us see the might of the 7 noble houses. How can this be? Did we offend 7 noble houses people? Luo Yunchang paled and her mind blanked, watching Zhuo Fan with empty eyes. Captain Pang was even worse. His heart froze up at this moment. The world seemed to have vanished, making way for silence. Zhuo Fan, quick! We need to apologize to young Miss Sunday. Luo Yunchang pulled him to Kai Manor, but Zhuo Fan was stuck like a rock. If we go, we'll die. Zhuo Fan said coldly. Luo Yunchang froze, and her eyes glazed with helplessness. Zhuo Fan's words were ear-piercing, but they all spoke of the harsh truth. If offending the 7 noble houses was so easily settled, no one would have regarded them with such fear. Brother Zhuo, what do we do? They were all surprised to find Luo Yunhai speaking as he gazed at Zhuo Fan with unshakable faith. Not even Zhuo Fan foresaw it. A kid that everyone overlooked was now watching him with such big and innocent eyes. Wasn't I a stinking slave? Squinted Zhuo Fan. Big bro Zhuo, we, brother and sister, are grateful for this new chance at life. You're our greatest benefactor, my dear brother. My dear brother-in-law. Please save us once again. Yunhai, don't talk nonsense. Luo Yunhai glared with a red face. Yet her eyes couldn't help sneaking a glance at Zhuo Fan. They were alive, thanks to him. Despite being inferior in his eyes, Zhuo Fan's abilities made others have a whole new level of respect for him. This was the reason why she appointed him as the clan steward for the rebuilding of the clan. Men like him were needed. Zhuo Fan saw Luo Yunhai's imploring eyes and laughed inside. This kid is a clan's son after all. Haughty, but also clever to see another's talent. How adorable. Moreover, helping the Luo clan was a given for him. Does Windgaze City have men from the 7 houses? Yes. The Veiled Dragon Pavilion, the #1 treasure, a praising clan among the 7 houses. Its wealth knows no bounds. Then let's return to the tavern and go to Veiled Dragon Pavilion tomorrow. Zhuo Fan ruffled Luo Yunhai's head. What for? Luo Yunchang rushed to ask allies. Zhuo Fan's curt reply came. The others were stunned. Why would one of the 7 noble houses, the Veiled Dragon Pavilion, ally with a run-down clan? That was more of the wish of a hopeless loser. Chapter 18, Long Kuei. Chapter 18, Long Kuei. A tens of meters tall, ancient building stood in the eastern part of Windgaze City. Its size overwhelmed any from approaching to the point that not a single person dared get within 100 meters of it. 2 guards in golden garb stood at the gates. Their aura gave off the impression of veterans, of imperial bodyguards, despite standing still. Their eyes roamed everywhere, staring daggers at any who dared match their gaze. But in this place, for people suddenly appeared, peak of chi condensation. Zhuo Fan muttered as he walked in front of the siblings and Captain Pang. While he had no problem facing such imposing guards, the 3 stiffened, to the point they almost forgot to walk. Stop! The guards barred Zhuo Fan's path. Veiled Dragon Pavilion is not a place for you to wonder about. I ask that you send word of Cloud Manor Luo clan's young miss, Luo Yunchang. I have arrived to have something appraised. Zhuo Fan's eyes didn't even look at them. The 2 exchanged a look of surprise. Windgaze City didn't lack people who came here to see the appraiser, but all were fearful and fawned them when talking. This was a first, though, meeting such a smug kid. We've never heard of you. Our appraiser can't meet with nobodies, spoke a guard. Harshly. Luo Yunchang lowered her head. One of the 7 noble houses, Veiled Dragon Pavilion, would never pay attention to an ant-like clan. They weren't even worthy to speak with them, not to mention become allies. Zhuo Fan. Luo Yunchang pulled Zhuo Fan, but before she could finish, he shook her off. That is the appraiser's concern to see us. Try and act as the servants you are. What did you say? The guards were outraged. Releasing their full aura, the Luo clan members felt their breathing become heavier as they retreated back. Only Zhuo Fan stood in his place and roared. Is this how the 7 noble houses treats its guests? Humph, truly renowned. Stop. A girl in white came out to meet them. The guards bowed. Young miss, these people are looking for trouble. I heard what you said, and it is you who are in the wrong. All who come are guests. Make sure to show respect. The girl berated them in a cold tone, then smiled at Zhuo Fan. Mister, we meet again. It's you. Zhua Fan and Captain Pang were startled. She was the one that quarreled with the stall owner, but things were different now. Zhua Fan sneered inside. I didn't expect for young miss to be from the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Please forgive my lack of respect. The girl nodded with a smile. I am Long Kuei, only a small appraiser here. I wonder why Mr. has come to us. To be honest, I am Luo clan steward Zhua Fan. Because a terrible misfortune plagues us, I accompanied my young miss to the Veiled Dragon Pavilion, the #1 appraising noble house in Tianyu Empire's #1 appraising noble house, to sell the clan's treasure. Eyes flashing, Long Kuei smiled when she saw Luo Yunchang nodding, then turned back to Zhua Fan. Then I will do my best to examine your treasure. Please follow me. She showed them in, to the shock of the guards. Was that young miss friend? No way. How can young miss have such a dirt poor friend? She must be doing it for the treasure. Once it fails to meet her expectations, they will be kicked out. Then we will teach them a lesson they won't ever forget, especially that rude Zhua Fan. But what if the item is to her liking? That's impossible. Just look at them. How can these wretched people have anything that is worth more than black jade? Ha! The other also jeered, rubbing his hand in eagerness to vent all his energy. On the other side, Long Kuei took them to a flourishing room and smiled once they were seated. I wonder what treasure did you bring? Please take it out. Zhua Fan grinned. This girl thinks herself above others, but is quite shrewd as well. He was certain she knew exactly what went on at the entrance. But let the guards test them if they were worthy of her time. If they showed any sign of giving up, her current attitude would have been unyielding despite how cunning she was. She was far too naive when up against the devilish Zhua Fan whoosh. Zhua Fan placed a scroll with countless images before her, which immediately caught her full attention. Taking it in her hands, Long Kuei took careful and long looks at the contents. Luo Yunchang and Captain Pang were in a bit of a shock. This drawing was something Zhua Fan made last night. When they saw it, they only had one thought. What is this thing? Yet from the looks of Long Kuei's expression, it must be worth a fortune. Mr. Zhua Fan, how much do you want? Long Kuei placed the scroll back and watched Zhua Fan with a hardened gaze. Young Miss Long is an appraiser and saw your skill in the market. Please be the first to state a price. Zhua Fan chuckled, biting her lip. Long Kuei noticed from his eyes that this man was also knowledgeable. She couldn't swindle him. How does 20,000 spirit stones sound? What, 20,000? Luo Yunchang stood up in shock. If you'd take Cloud Manor's wealth when it was at its peak, you'd get 50,000. Yet Zhua Fan messed around with a brush and came up with 20. Captain Pang was dumbstruck. Long Kuei couldn't restrain her disdain for the two. Humph! I am a madam while you are a pack of stray cats. But when she saw the silent yet smiling Zhua Fan, she turned serious. The true expert is this steward. Chapter 19, Ga Dai Long Jiu. Chapter 19, Ga Dai Long Jiu. Looking for proofreaders for this novel. 20,000, ha ha ha. Zhua Fan rubbed his chin, shaking his head as he reached for the scroll. Since young Miss Long isn't honest, there's no need to continue. Her body moved back and hugged the scroll. Afraid Zhua Fan might take it, Mr. Zhao. 20,000 isn't little for a first-grade array. And this is a drawing instead of a jade slip. This price of mine is fair. Ha ha ha. Young Miss Long, I might not be too learned, but I know when you try to cheat me. Give me the scroll. Zhua Fan reached out, but was in no rush to take it as he stared down at her, tightening her grip on the drawing. Long Kuei bit her lip and shouted, Take it as my loss, 30,000. Young Miss Long still is not honest enough. Zhua Fan shook his head in disappointment and leaned over to grab for the scroll. Long Kuei curled backward, wanting to dodge Zhua Fan's evil clutches. This drawing was indeed a first-grade array, and this wasn't the first time she saw one. Her original price was quite fair and began with 20,000 because she knew she couldn't swindle the knowledgeable Zhua Fan, but even so, with how many arrays were out there, she didn't know them all. The #1 appraising noble house in the empire had many arrays in storage, yet this was a rare chance for her to encounter one that was unlike any she saw before as such. Even if she would lose out, she would do all she could to have this array, a pity that the relentless Zhuo Fan stood in her way, unwilling to back down even half a step. As such, she turned to the ignored young miss of the Luo clan. "Young Miss Luo, this drawing is 30,000 at most. Only the Veiled Dragon Pavilion has the wealth to buy such a drawing in the entire empire. You won't gain a better price elsewhere." She hesitated and glanced at Zhuo Fan. Long Kuei knew she had an escape and pushed her advantage to entice her. "Young Miss Luo, you and the Veiled Dragon Pavilion are making a great transaction and will become our honored guest. Our doors will forever be open to you." "Honored guest?" Luo Yunchang mumbled. "Isn't this gaining a supporter?" Her heart was overtaken with joy and turned to Zhuo Fan. What if? Not a word. Zhuo Fan roared and glared at her. This foolish woman was swayed in seconds. How could the Veiled Dragon Pavilion stick their heads out for some bullshit guests? To get the best of their power, to have their protection, they could only attain it through a trade of equals. "Young Miss Long, I am Luo Clan steward, in charge of all matters concerning it. Please return the drawing." Zhuo Fan's smile was replaced by a cold stare. Luo Yunchang looked in a daze. First at him, then at Luo Yunchang, though his words rang true. Since when did a steward's power superseded his lord's? How was he the steward? By the look of things, the lady of Luo Clan is unable to keep the steward in check. Sighing, Long Kuei was very reluctant in giving the scroll back. Evident by her slow movement, such a pity, Mr. Zhuo Fan. Your request is too high, and I can't fulfill it. But I am willing to guarantee on our Veiled Dragon Pavilion's fame that this first great array won't go beyond 30,000. With the scroll in hand, Zhuo Fan rose from his seat and leaned closer to Long Kuei. Leaving her flabbergasted before she could say anything, he said, "Sorry, it seems I thought too highly of the young miss. You truly don't understand. Does this place have any other appraiser?" What I do not understand. Long Kuei's cheeks were tinted red as her heart swelled with anger. No item that passed her hands hadn't received a correct assessment. The fact she could point out the fake black jade, yet unable to explain why, was her talent. It was because of this that she rose to a top-rated appraiser. In short, she was an expert. Yet here came Zhuo Fan mocking her talent, refuting her skill in appraising. It was worse than any physical attack, an insult to her dignity. "Mr. Zhuo Fan, your eyes are not wrong, but it is best not to overreach." Long Kuei showed a smile that went beyond just anger. All of them could hear the gnashing of her teeth, yet Zhuo only smiled. "Is there any other appraiser here?" Long Kuei glared. "Fine, just wait here." And she left. Luo Yunchang was worried about the anger Long Kuei showed. Did we offend the Veiled Dragon Pavilion? Zhuo Fan shook his head with an unusual smile moments later. Long Kuei appeared again with steady steps. But this time an old man was at her side. "Ga Dai Long Jiu." Luo Yunchang shouted in shock and turned to Zhuo Fan. "He is the supervisor of the Veiled Dragon Pavilion in Wingay City, the head appraiser, Ga Dai Long Jiu." "Ah, it's Luo Clan's young miss." Even from 100 steps, Long Jiu's voice resounded clearly in their ears. "I've met your father 20 years ago. He was full of mettle then. I didn't expect for your clan to sell their treasure." Zhuo Fan's heart shivered as his brows knitted. This man's power was a cut above Kai Rong's, to the point not even Zhuo Fan could see through him. It wasn't that his eyesight were poor, or the fact the old man hid his power. The difference between them was just too deep, I see. So Veiled Dragon Pavilion has such an expert, thought Zhuo Fan soon. Long Jiu was supported by Long Kuei and arrived before them. Luo Yunchang bowed. "Grandpa Jiu." The others were quick to follow. Yet Zhuo Fan just stood there. Long Jiu sized him up with his only hazy eye. "Are you Luo Clan steward?" "Yes." "All right. Anyone's better than that old Sunday." Long Jiu shot a meaningful glance at them. then sat down. I heard you doubt little Kuei's skill. Yes. Zhuo Fan didn't mince words, eliciting a snort from her and a roll of the eye. Ha ha, little Kuei might be new in this line of business, but her eyes are true. She must be more or less right with her assessment. But since you doubt her, this blind old man will take a look. Please. Zhuo Fan offered the scroll. The Long Jio's smile vanished when he turned to its contents. Staring intently at it, Uncle Jio, wasn't I right? Long Kuei grinned and shouted, First grade array, 30,000 spirit stones. Long Jiu kept staring at the drawing, and only after a while did he spoke with a solemn face. I never thought the Luo clan would hide such a thing. Kid, what do you think of one? 8 million spirit stones? What? They all went slack-jawed, Long Kuei in particular. Never had she dreamed of the day the supervisor of Veiled Dragon Pavilion, Long Jiu, would utter such an astronomical number. Chapter 20, Ancient Array. Chapter 20, Ancient Array. Looking for proofreaders for this novel. Uncle Jiu. Long Kuei watched Long Jiu wide-eyed, who instead watched the calm Zhuo Fan with his only eye. Zhuo Fan gazed back with a grin. Too low. WH dash. They all cried out in response. 8 million was an inconceivable wealth for the Luo clan. Luo Yunchang never dreamed of having such riches. Yet in the eyes of Zhuo Fan, it wasn't enough. Luo Yunchang and Captain Pang looked lost at him. If not for being born and raised in the Cloud Manor, they'd be thinking he was a noble descendant. His gaze traveled so far, yet before others could recover from Zhuo Fan's attack. Here came Long Jio's reply. I understand, but this is the most this old man can give. Ah, then I'll sell it as a favor for Grandpa Jiu at this price. Luo Yunchang chuckled embarrassingly as she wiped her brow. She never imagined a random drawing from Zhuo Fan would garner such an insane price that took all of God-Eye, Long Jio's wealth to pay for it, and by the looks of it, Long Jiu seemed to have set his sights on it. As such, it was better to earn his favor and be on good terms with Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Long Jiu showed a gratified smile. As expected, being extra careful as he rolled the drawing, but then Zhuo Fan slapped the table. Since you can't go higher, the deal is off. Zhuo Fan. Luo Yunchang gave him a look, but he ignored her as he reached for the scroll, squinting his eyes. Long Jiu unleashed his awe-inspiring power. Kid, this old man wants it. Under such tremendous pressure, everyone recoiled, while Luo Yunchang and Captain Pang were overwhelmed from shock. Long Jiu was far above Chiron. Offending him would be tantamount to instant death, yet Zhuo held his own under the man's power and even sneered, Grandpa Jiu, you're staining Veiled Dragon Pavilion's reputation. Kid, are you not afraid? Long Jiu kicked his power up a notch. Humph, aren't you? Blanking out for a second, Long Jiu took back his power and laughed. Haha, good kid. With you in charge of the Luo clan, they have nothing to worry about. The others were baffled. The two were a step away from jumping at each other's throat, and in the next instant all went up in smoke. Yet no one knew the two moved the battle from brawn to mind. Long Jiu released his power to soften Zhuo Fan into selling him the drawing. Instead, Zhuo Fan pushed through the pressure and asked the old man about his honor. Veiled Dragon Pavilion was the #1 appraising house among the 7 nobles. If this coercion leaked, then the damage would be unimaginable. Zhuo Fan bet on his fate and the clan's honors place in Long Jiu's heart, and one with a deep look directed at Zhuo Fan. Long Jiu took the direct approach. Kid, I know you didn't come just to sell this drawing. What are your terms? Grinning, Zhuo Fan pushed the drawing before Long Jiu. 10 million is a fair offer. Let's start by having you pay us 1 million and the rest slowly. That's... Long Jiu eyed the scroll, then nodded after a while. All right. Until the debt is paid, the Veiled Dragon Pavilion shall owe Luo clan. Long Jiu took the scroll and left. Yet once he was gone, his voice lingered. Little Kuei, give them 1 million spirit stones and walk them out. Ah, yes. Long Kuei was overwhelmed with different thoughts, as she had never seen Long Jio with such a sour expression. Turning back to Zhuo Fan, it was the first time she saw him sporting such a content smile. Next, she handed 1,000,000 spirit stones and saw them out at the gate. The 2 guards were eager for them to show up and teach them a thing or two, but Long Kuei's respectful attitude threw a wrench in their plans. And when they heard the deal they made included 1,000,000 spirit stones, they were stunned. Never had they imagined a remote place like this could come with such an important deal. It became one of the top 3 deals in Veiled Dragon Pavilion's history. Damn. Thank God we didn't do anything, or disaster might have struck. A guard watched the 4 leave and wiped the sweat off his brow. The other just bobbed his head. Veiled Dragon Pavilion treated a rich clan with respect. If any of their men dared to offend the clan, the noble house would exact punishment. In the case of a clan with 1,000,000 spirit stones, the guards' complete lack of courtesy would even end with their deaths thinking about it. They began to sweat buckets. On the other hand, Long Kuei returned to Long Jio, who was now looking at every detail of the first-grade array. Uncle Joe, isn't it just a first-grade array? How is this worth 10,000,000? I never even seen an item worth that much. Long Kuei asked the moment she went through the door, sighing. Long Jio gestured to her next to him. Little Kuei, look closer. This might be the only one of its kind in the Empire. This is Long Kuei's eyes flashed with shock, an ancient array. Long Jio showed how moved he was with every word. The ancient arrays are a lost art, yet this has essentially proven their existence. It is priceless, and even 10,000,000 is too low. What? It's that valuable? Nodding, Long Jio revealed a childish smile, as if he got his most cherished toy. But something occurred to him that soured his mood. Little Kuei, tell Ajia to find 5 experts and watch over the Luo clan. They offended the Sun clan today. Why should we help them? Long Jio snorted. Haven't you been listening? We owe them. Long Kuei began to recall. So this is what Zhuo Fan and Long Jio were haggling over. Yet the veteran Uncle Jio was defeated in negotiations by a pup. Of course, he was in a bad mood. Long Kuei couldn't help but let out a giggle. Chapter 21. Trouble Comes Knocking. Chapter 21. Trouble Comes Knocking. The second day, Zhuo Fan was meditating in his room at the tavern when hurried footsteps closed in. Captain Pang rushed in with an anxious face. Sun Clan has us surrounded outside. Slowly opening his eyes, Zhuo Fan evoked an odd smile. They're finally here. Why are you so calm? Zhuo Fan walked outside without a care. I've been waiting for them. Tell the siblings to come out too. Captain Pang couldn't help but roll his eyes helplessly. Zhuo Fan was the official Luo clan steward and called young miss and young master in others' presence, but when they were alone he had no such restraints. If it were the past, Captain Pang would have gone the distance in enacting the clan head's rules. But he got used to the tough-looking but soft-hearted Zhuo Fan. He had the habit of criticizing the siblings on and on, but he was the first to jump in front of them when the need arose, just like yesterday, when he rebuked Luo Yunchang for speaking out of place and coming close to ruining their deal. Although wronged at the time, the young miss knew when they saw Long Jiu leaving that Zhuo Fan had done a great favor for the Luo clan with how the rundown Luo clan turned in 1,000,000 spirit stones. They wouldn't be in the precarious position of living on the streets or relying on others. What was most important was Long Jiu's evaluation of Zhuo Fan. As long as the Luo clan had him, it would soar. A capable man stands at the top. Captain Pang rubbed his chin, taking one last look of admiration at Zhuo Fan, then went to get the siblings soon. Captain Pang accompanied them to Zhuo Fan in the tavern's hall. Luo Yunchang still bore the marks of grievance from yesterday's, tongue lashing on her face. Let's go, young miss and young master. Zhuo Fan gestured outside with his eyes, and Luo Yunchang snorted as she pulled her brother along. The tavern keeper opened the doors with a creak. Luo Yunchang showcased her young miss qualities by shifting her posture and expression to ones worthy of such status. Zhuo Fan even sighed inside that she was a prime example of a clan's Lady 30 Sun clan guards stood outside. qi condensation experts. In the lead was Sun Yufei and a tall, dignified young master. He held a fan as his ghostly eyes roamed over Luo Yunchang's lithe figure. Noticing his gaze, Luo Yunchang shifted hers to Sun Yufei. "Why has young Miss Sun brought so many people to look for us?" "Humph! Why ask when you already know?" he offended this young miss in the Kai manner. Sun Yufei pointed with hatred at Zhuo Fan. "I will make sure to wipe out all of the Luo clan today." Luo Yunchang knitted her brows and pulled Luo Yunhai tighter. But a look at the relaxed Zhuo Fan eased her tension. It was in these moments of extreme danger that Zhuo Fan dissolved all problems. Be it in front of Kai Rong or even Longjiu, his cunningness and meticulous planning pulled them through in front of those two experts. These people were nothing Luo Yunchang knew, as long as Zhuo Fan was calm. The matter was as good as settled, seeing Zhuo Fan unflinching. Luo Yunchang began to smile, lifting her chin with confidence. "My Luo clan had lorded over Wingay City for centuries. You think we'll bend over just because you say so? Young Miss Sun, your clan has only been here for just a few decades. Please watch your tone." Luo Yunchang had finally recovered the lofty bearing she had in the time of Luo clan's prosperity. Such confidence left others speechless. The audience reduced Sun Yufei to a shrew servant while raising Luo Yunchang to a noble lady, noticing their expressions. Sun Yufei's face was inflamed, bursting with Yuan Qi. "Luo Yunchang, I will teach you the meaning of a fallen clan." She charged for her, and Captain Pang rushed to protect his young miss. But before they could meet, a fan rested between them. Cousin Sun Yufei watched him with bloodshot eyes. Without paying her any attention, he showed respect towards Luo Yunchang. "Young Miss Luo, please forgive my cousin's lack of manners. We have come to your home for your steward to seek justice for my cousin. It does not concern young miss. If you hand him over, I guarantee not to harm any Luo clan member." "Cousin, didn't we say we're going to destroy them?" Why, Sun Yufei was panicking, but he covered her face with the fan. "I could also bring back the glory of old to the Luo clan." "No need. Zhuo Fan is part of the Luo clan. If you're looking to trouble him, you're dealing with the whole clan. If you have any complaints, come to me. I am in charge of the Luo clan." Luo Yunchang stood fearless before all. Losing his smile, the youngster shook his head. "I urge young miss to not be taken in by emotions. If you knew who I am, you might not say the same." Frowning, Luo Yunchang glared at him. "I am Yu Quan, a disciple of Hell Valley." Luo Yunchang was shocked and took 2 steps back. "That's 7 noble houses." "Ha ha ha, scared now." Sun Yufei laughed with pride. Everyone, besides Zhuo Fan, sported grim expressions. There was no reason to fear meeting Longjiu since they were negotiating. But in this case, they were at odds with the Hell Valley. Any from the 7 noble houses needed to only lift a finger, and a mortal clan would fall or thrive. No wonder even the clan head Kai Rong saw the Sun clan girl with importance. Her clan had a connection with the 7 noble houses Zhuo Fan. Luo Yunchang grabbed his hand as her voice trembled with a reassuring smile. He stepped forward. "I am Luo clan steward Zhuo Fan. What do you think of fighting one-on-one?" "Humph! Cousin was right. You are an arrogant slave," sneered Duquan as he approached him. "All of us against someone like you will smear Hell Valley's reputation." With his last word, a whoosh sound traveled, and Yuquan disappeared. Zhuo Fan's eyes narrowed, somersaulting backward. When he looked forward, a trace of blood flowed down his face as blood dripped from his cheek. The youth now occupied Zhuo Fan's previous position. "Humph! So you've managed to dodge it." Yu Quan eyed him evilly as if he was toying with him. 6th layer of qi condensation. Demonic cultivator. Zhuo Fan squinted and smiled. Interesting. When Yu Quan attacked like a demon, if Zhuo Fan wasn't a veteran demonic cultivator, it would have killed him. But this revealed Hell Valley's nature, that of a demonic faction if another met such a problem. He'd have a hard time coping. Demonic cultivators gain power through any means, filled with danger and ruthless natures. Righteous cultivators took the opposite approach, taking it one step at a time. They weren't as impressive as demonic cultivation experts, but they hardly encountered problems in cultivation, and this explained why, despite only in his 6th layer, Yuquan was far more dangerous. Yet, Zhuo was in the 2nd, and 4 layers difference would make him hard-pressed, even against a righteous cultivator. Luck had it, though, that Zhuo Fan was an old monster in demonic cultivation, knowing his fair share of its arts and methods. This was his only hope of success. Are you all right? Luo Yunchang was anxious, watching the blood trail down his cheek. He wiped the blood and showed an excited smile. It wasn't that he never fought with higher layers before, just that they were all righteous cultivators. This was his first encounter with a demonic cultivator in this situation, and began to enjoy the novelty of it. Fight! Even if the Luo clan wasn't here, it was still important to go through with this fight for the sake of his meticulous schemes. This fight followed no logic, as his boiling blood dictated his movements. The bloodthirsty look in Zhuo Fan's eyes caught Yuquan off guard. Common sense told him his first move should have robbed Zhuo Fan of his life, and even if he escaped by some miracle, he'd be scared witless. But instead of fear, Zhuo Fan showed thrill and thirst for battle. Can't be. Yuquan thought of something, but was forced to block. Bam! A blood palm exploded in his hand, pushing him back again and again. When he finally stopped, his hand was dripping blood. Cousin, be careful. Even Kai Rong suffered from this palm. Sun Yufei advised. Yuquan frowned, his casual expression turning grave. This is going to be a pain. Never thought I'd meet someone like him. He saw Zhuo Fan sporting a grin, and he sighed inside, while also raising his vigilance. If I had known, I wouldn't have caught myself in this. Chapter 22. The Most Dangerous Man. Chapter 22. The most dangerous man. Demonic cultivation had a single pursuit: power. Meanwhile, the righteous path followed set rules to form a solid foundation and advance one step at a time. Because of this savage pursuit, demonic cultivators were seen as madmen, resorting to any despicable means to further their might. This was why righteous cultivators feared them. Fighting them was tantamount to fighting a madman. With this knowledge in mind, Yuquan began to regret fighting Zhuo Fan. Despite being confident in his success, fighting an unscrupulous demonic cultivator would be sure to come with negative repercussions on his part. I need to settle this quickly. Yuquan's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and dark blue energy came out of his palm. The air around him chilled in an instant, and even Luo Yunchang, who was 10 feet away, felt the cold biting her. She was aware of its danger, and her heart was in a panic. But before she could warn Zhuo Fan, Yuquan turned into a black shadow and charged. All the flowers along the way wilted. High mortal ranked martial art hell claw. Bam! The blackish cold energy struck Zhuo Fan's chest until the latter spat blood along with pieces of ice. Humph! I have your heart. No matter what you're trying to do, it's useless. Yuquan was pleased his sudden strike worked and relaxed. There were 4 layers of power between them. And even if demonic cultivators, no matter the weird techniques or savagery, once one's heart was in a vice, he couldn't use most of his power. It was the same as being powerless. Sun Yufei cheered at her cousin's success. Kill him! While Luo Yunchang and the others were nervous, nodding inside. Despite knowing his cousin was rash and prone to anger, Yuquan had to admit her words this time were true. A demonic cultivator enemy must never be left alive, because a demonic cultivator's vengeance will always be ruthless. Now, another dark blue palm aimed for Zhuo Fan's head. Humph! Die! Luo Yunchang and the rest were in shock, hearts in their throats, but following an explosive sound. Zhuo Fan's head was fine, while Yuquan was flung like a rag doll, trailing a bloody arc in the air. Blood palm! Zhuo Fan bellowed, staying in the move executing stance. That's impossible. Yuquan crawled to his feet and clasped his chest with an incredulous expression. I sealed your heart. How can you still use martial arts? Humph! There's nothing bro Zhuo Fan can't do. Luo Yunhai stuck his chin out as Luo Yunchang and the others chuckled in relief, but then Zhuo Fan spat out another mouthful of blood. A sudden hole was now adorning his chest, which leaked blood. What's going on? Luo Yunchang was stunned while Captain Pang rushed to support the collapsing Zhuofan. Only Yuquan understood and cackled. He seemed to have exploded his heart on purpose when I used my skill on him to break out of Hellclaw's grip. He won't have long to live. What did you say? Luo Yunchang was nervous, ignoring her. Yuquan ridiculed the hazy-eyed Zhuofan. Such a pity. If you were at my stage, your move would have ended with mutual destruction, but it ended with quickening your death. Even hurt, I can finish you off. He rushed for Zhuofan, and, though his speed dropped, it wasn't something Luo Yunchang and the others could cope with, no. Luo Yunchang jumped in front of Zhuofan with her arms spread. Yuquan sneered. Hey, young Miss Luo, I would hate to kill you. Whoosh! The Luo clan members saw Yuquan's claw, but were powerless to stop it from approaching Zhuofan's head. Yuquan wanted to kill Zhuofan in front of them, sensing the incoming danger. Zhuofan gave out a strange smile. Bam! Suddenly, the blackish claw was caught in a vice-like grip, mid-mortal ranked martial art, hidden dragon claw. Yuquan raised his head to find a warm face greeting him. It belonged to a youth of around 18, dressed in golden clothes and a scholarly face, yet having a sharp pair of eyes. Long Jie? Yuquan gnashed his teeth. Sun Yufei was in shock. Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Yuquan, do you need to kill for every little mistake? Long Jie smiled. Humph, that's my business, but out. Shaking his head, Long Jie might look kind, but there was a certain determination in his eyes. I was ordered by Uncle Ju to protect the Luo clan. If you want to kill him, you have to go through me. Why is the Veiled Dragon Pavilion suddenly? Sun Yufei trembled. Never imagining the Luo clan could gain the help of Veiled Dragon Pavilion, the Sun clan was under the protection of Hell Valley, and even though the Luo clan only had 4 people, they had the Veiled Dragon Pavilion to back them. Based on background, the only clan that could fight the Sun clan in Wingay City was the Luo clan. This deflated Sun Yufei's superiority. A clan under Veiled Dragon Pavilion's backing was bound to rise, gazing at Luo Yunchang. Sun Yufei hardly hid the hatred in her eyes. Humph! Long Jie, we have the same strength. You think you can protect them? Yuquan looked at Zhuofan hanging by a thread with killing intent, with a serious face. Long Jie said with coldness, Yuquan, don't forget your wounds. Think you can match me as you are now? Before he could retort, Long Jie said, I know what you want to say, that a demonic cultivator can show 120% of his power. But if we fight here, it will incur an open war between our houses. Are you prepared to bear such responsibility? Yuquan hesitated. Hell Valley and Veiled Dragon Pavilion were of the 7 noble houses, yet also at odds. It was only a matter of time till war broke out, but not now. If he ruined his clan's plan, he wouldn't be able to bear the repercussions. I'll dash. Just when he nodded, a hand grabbed at his chest. He rushed his Yuan Qi in a panic to block the attack, but sudden blood energy messed up his control. In but an instant, the hand pierced his chest and gripped his heart. Didn't your master warn you? In a battle with demonic cultivators, never let down your guard or you will forfeit your life. A familiar voice reached Yuquan's ears while his eyes were greeted with Zhuofan's evil grin. Why you can't? Yuquan was in shock. Zhuofan was on the brink of death, yet, now, had the energy to move around. But what was even more baffling was that he was stronger and faster than when Zhuofan first fought him. Everything was clear now. He fell in his trap, and not just him. He turned to the equally shocked Long Jie with an imploring gaze. Save me. Die. Zhuofan's demonic voice echoed in the 2's ears, and both shouted, No. It was too late. Zhuofan already gouged out Yuquan's heart. Blood flowed like a fountain from Yuquan's chest as he collapsed. He didn't want to fight a demonic cultivator, since every move was planned and vicious. Cousin. Sun Yufei cried in pain as she walked in a daze to his body. Sun Clan's guards took her and left in a rush. They no longer had a backing, and this place was filled with Veiled Dragon Pavilions, Men, the calm Longjia, witnessing death for the first time, swallowed dryly and turned to Zhuofan. He saw the still beating heart in Zhuofan's hand and broke out in a sweat. He saw his fair share of demonic cultivators, but Zhuofan horrified him the most. If he compared them, those demonic cultivators he saw were noblemen when up against Zhuofan's methods. "You're the one Grandpa Jiu sent to protect us? Thanks for the help. Please send him a message that we no longer need protection." Zhuofan flung the heart and clasped his hands. Longjia returned the gesture with a bitter smile. Then he left without a word, like a defeated general 6 hours later. Inside Veiled Dragon Pavilion Bam, Longjiu smacked the table in a fit of anger as his only eye was on the verge of popping out. Longjia and Long Kuei stood with heads bowed, not daring to make a peep. "Never thought I'd see the day I, Longjiu, who moved unhindered across the world, was had today by a brat. To think he would ruin all of our clan's plans." Long Kuei hesitated and asked, "Uncle Jiu, I do not understand. What does Zhuofan's sneak attack have to do with Veiled Dragon Pavilion?" "Foolish child." Long Jiu cursed. Jia was there and was at odds with Yuquan. Everyone saw it. That punk killed Yuquan right before Jia. You tell me, who will the blame fall on? "Luo clan." Long Kuei said like it was obvious. Longjiu laughed as he shook his head. Longjiu explained, "Little Kuei, do you believe a small clan would dare to kill a disciple of the 7 noble houses?" Long Kuei shook her head after thinking it over. Longjia continued, "If even you don't believe it, then Hell Valley and Sun Clan will surely refuse to. They will blame us." "What? But that will mean we're the ones down on our luck. Why should we be the Luo clan's scapegoat?" "Humph luck? All of this is the work of that punk. From Jia, I understand the kid was on the verge of dying when he arrived. Even if Yuquan wanted his life, he couldn't do anything since Jia stopped him. Then he sneak attacked him with a stronger move than in the beginning. This clearly states how cunning he was and that he planned ahead." "What? Does that mean he knew Brother Longjia was there from the start and targeted Yuquan?" Long Kuei exclaimed, sighing. Luo clan shook his head in helplessness. "Silly girl. Not only did he plan against Yuquan, but he also included Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Hell Valley in his calculations. Our houses would fight while his Luo clan escapes. Impossible. Isn't he afraid of offending 2 houses? He thought this one out too. When he sold us that drawing, he already ascertained our house's position. If we attack them or ignore the Luo clan's plight, it is the same as showing weakness in front of Hell Valley, damaging our Veiled Dragon Pavilion's honor. Our only choice is to protect the Luo clan. Sai, he had me from the start. This punk is the most dangerous man I have ever seen." Recalling the previous scene, Long Jia had to nod his head in agreement. Chapter 23. Conspiracy. Chapter 23. Conspiracy. Get out. In the dead of night, Zhuofan was trying hard to staunch the flow of blood from his chest while sitting on the bed. Luo Yunchang wanted to help him, but Zhuofan's bellow drove her out despite winning against Yuquan. His victory wasn't a sweet one if not for his sneak attack. The fight would have been one-sided, a common occurrence when demonic cultivators were involved. But he felt a deep sense of powerlessness from today's fight, although they were 4 layers apart. He believed himself to be a demonic emperor, that using all his power would have certainly finished off a kid still wet behind his ears, yet reality showed that not only he couldn't win, but he also couldn't even get the upper hand in the fight. He had to rely on scheming to lure Veiled Dragon Pavilion out in the open and kill his enemy when he least expected by inciting chaos among the houses, while also providing the Luo clan a way out at all, when according to plan. Yet it didn't leave a good taste in his mouth. Too weak. To get rid of their trouble with the Kai clan and Sun clan, they got tangled up in the 7 noble houses conflict. It was trading one poison for another. All was quiet for now, but they'd have to face the music sooner or later yet. With his meager power, he couldn't protect himself, let alone the Luo clan. "I need to get stronger fast." Zhuo Fan clenched his teeth and performed strange hand gestures as his eyes let out an eerie red light at this moment. Kai Shouting was meditating in a room when a sudden ache in his abdomen twisted his face in pain. Beads of sweat rolled down his forehead, and he soon passed out. A bloody light flashed from his abdomen, and a palm-sized infant came out. It was Zhuo Fan's blood infant. At the time, he was in Kai Manor. Zhuo Fan inserted the blood infant in Kai Shouting to control Kai Rong. Because his movement was too fast, no one saw him. And under the threat of his son's life, Kai Rong was forced to let the Luo clan go thanks to the blood infant in Kai Shouting's body. Zhuo Fan could monitor their affairs. He would get an early warning to any plan they might come up with, but now, spying on the Kai clan has lost its value. The blood infant saw the unconscious Kai Shouting and let out a sneer in Zhuo Fan's voice. "Humph! I won't take your life so you could bear witness to the fall of the Kai clan." The blood infant then turned into a red light and flew outside in a dark garden. A Kai clan guard was patrolling when a red light entered his body. He couldn't utter a sound as his body numbed. He soon shriveled up, and a light wind scattered him to dust, leaving behind the red glow. In this manner, more than 30 guards disappeared from the Kai clan in the tavern. Zhuo Fan snickered and sent blood infant for the next prey. He and the blood infant were one. When the blood infant entered a cultivator, he used the demon transformation art to absorb the person's blood essence and yuan qi for Zhuo Fan to refine later. He didn't plan on using the blood infant so soon, but he needed it to heal his heart. So he might as well reduce Kai clan's numbers. While he was at it, the blood infant reached the qi condensation, and even an early bone tempering expert would find it troublesome to fight with. As for qi condensation opponents, it would kill them in an instant. If Zhuo Fan had the blood infant on him in his fight with Yu Quan, he could have won without having to resort to any schemes. He could only sigh as he thought of how it was the perfect match to have both the blood infant and the demon transformation art. Raising the blood infant was very difficult, and even Patriarch Blood Demon only reached Saint Stage with it. Yet, thanks to the demon transformation art, Zhuo Fan raised it to qi condensation after 10 days of hard work in the tavern. He did it during his previous seclusion. The first day he used to bind the blood infant, and the rest to provide it with blood essence. Since the blood infant reached such a level, it was time for it to collect blood essence. And in a clan like the Kai clan, bone-tempering experts were rare, so Zhuo Fan wasn't afraid the blood infant would be harmed. This led to an unrestrained hunt as he sucked dry 50 more guards, but just when he planned to wipe away any Kai clan remnants, an eerie energy caught his attention. A demonic cultivator expert. Zhuo Fan was startled and guided the blood infant to the source. It arrived near a small room where a faint light burned. There were 24 peak qi condensation cultivators standing guard. It stirred Zhuo Fan's curiosity and drew blood infant to a window. As for those guards, they couldn't even detect the blood infant, not to mention see it 3 elderly sat in the guest and main seats inside the room. The one in the main seat was Kai Rong. The first seat on his left was occupied by a bald old man with cloudy eyes and exuding a peculiar energy. Zhuo Fan recognized it in a second. It was from a demonic cultivator expert. The old man on Kai Rong's right wore noble attire, and faint traces of demonic energy leaked from him. It showed he was in the middle of changing to a demonic cultivation method, yet Kai Rong and the noble-dressed old man were showing great respect to the bald demonic cultivator. Can it be? Zhuo Fan felt he was onto something when clan head cupped his hands before the bald man. Elder Jian, to what do I owe the honor of your and clan head son's visit? Cloudy eyes stared at Kai Rong until he trembled. It was then that Elder Jian smiled. I'm sure you know that a disciple from my Hell Valley was killed today by a veiled dragon pavilion. Wasn't it done by the Luo clan? Kai Rong let out a dry laugh. You think the Luo clan would have the nerve? Elder Jian laughed as his cloudy eyes shined. The feud between my Hell Valley and Veiled Dragon Pavilion was at a stalemate where neither dared to make the first move and break the balance of the 7 houses. Yet the Veiled Dragon Pavilion used the Luo clan to kill my disciple. What are they aiming for? This made Zhuo Fan muffle his laughter. just as he expected. These 7 houses were treated like kings for so many years that they would never believe anyone would challenge their authority. It was because of such raw arrogance that made them believe there was a deeper scheme involved. Instead of taking what happened at face value, Veiled Dragon Pavilion was no different, willing to accept this injustice instead of showing weakness. Then you visited me because Kai Rong hesitated. Ha ha ha. Nothing much. Just help us to spy on Veiled Dragon Pavilion and understand their intent. It seems this event will trigger a battle between the houses. Elder Jen, that's the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. My Kai clan can't afford to offend them. Kai Rong panicked, he thought. Why the hell are you 7 noble houses dragging my small clan into this? Shaking his head, Elder Jen said, Clan head Kai, don't misunderstand. There is no need for your clan to go head-to-head with Veiled Dragon Pavilion. It's just testing them, that is, dealing with the Luo clan and observing the Veiled Dragon Pavilion's reaction. What Luo clan? Kai Rong was shocked there wasn't anyone in the Wingay city who didn't know of today's fight between Yuquan and Zhuofan. That Luo clan was backed by the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Yet, here you are asking me to go make a mess of Luo clan. Isn't that the same as offending the Veiled Dragon Pavilion? Kai Rong looked over at clan head son, only to see him smile with a hint of schadenfreude. Damn you! Since you're so close with Hell Valley, why don't you go mess with Luo clan? Didn't your daughter make a scene today? But now that you saw them with the Veiled Dragon Pavilion, you don't dare move an inch. Kai Rong felt his tooth itch from hatred, but didn't have the courage to refuse Hell Valley. AI, to tell the truth, I hate that punk Zhuofan the most. He came to my clan a few days ago to look for trouble. I don't know what evil trick he used, but he made my son cough blood for several days, and we still haven't found a cure. If I go after him, he would use the same trick to take my son's life. PFF. Before Kai Rong even finished, Zhuofan could barely hold his laughter. He left the blood infant inside Kai shouting to teach the Kai clan a lesson, but never used it again afterward. He didn't expect the clan head would use such a lame excuse to escape this predicament. Even Elder Jen was skeptical of Kai Rong's flowery speech, and his face hardened upon seeing this. Kai Rong rushed to present an alternative. Elder Jen, clan head's son, is the best man for the job and is also close with Hell Valley. Letting him in charge of this task won't disappoint you. Hey, Kai Rong, what are you trying to pull? Clan head son jumped to his feet. Luo clan was a headache, and they didn't know how tight its relation was with the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. If he'd instigated Veiled Dragon Pavilion's involvement when he messed with the Luo clan, he'd be ruined. Despite the Sun clan and Hell Valley being related, the former was by no means one of the 7 noble houses. Getting on the Veiled Dragon Pavilion's wrong side was out of the question. It was unknown if the Hell Valley would stick its neck out for the Sun clan. Going after Luo clan was plain suicide, seeing the 2 clans proclaim loyalty by day and shirking off their duties at crucial times. Elder Jen snapped. Enough, you useless fools. I don't need any of you. I will find someone else for the job. Also, Kai Rong, have you brought your spirit ranked martial art wind kick? Please inspect it, Elder Jen. Kai clan rushed to present the jade slip, yet his eyes showed reluctance. Elder Jen, this is the only spirit ranked martial art the ancestors have passed down in my Kai clan. Fine, I won't take advantage of you. Snorting, Elder Jen threw him a jade slip. This is the spirit ranked martial art, Flaming Finger, a higher rank than yours. Kai Rong was overjoyed, expressing his thanks again and again. Zhuofan, standing outside, was puzzled. Is Hell Valley muddled to exchange a mid-spirit ranked martial art for a lower one? Elder Jen, who did you find to deal with Luo clan, if you don't mind me asking? Ignoring the martial art the Hell Valley bestowed on Kai Rong, clan head son asked. Kai Rong pricked up his ears to catch the answer, snickering. Elder Jen's eyes flashed with disdain. You bunch of dogs. Afraid someone might replace you? Humph. Relax, will you? That person is from Hell Valley. Does the Hell Valley plan to step forward? Why, Kai Rong and Clan Head Sun didn't mind Elder Jian's disdain and were surprised with an odd light in his eyes. Elder Jian said, "He is a spy we have long planted in the Black Wind Mountain." Black Wind Mountain. Zhuo Fan was so shocked his heart skipped a beat and his control over his energy slipped. Who's there? Elder Jian whipped his head and launched a palm attack. The door was blown to pieces as Blood Infant turned into a red streak of light and flew away. Only now did Elder Jian rush outside so quick. Zhuo Fan's shock wasn't small, but luck was with him as the guards were surrounding the place. He grinned and urged the Blood Infant to enter. One of them, "Blood boil!" The guards were in shock as Zhuo Fan's shout blew up the guard. With no time to dodge, all the others next to him lost their lives. Elder Jian's figure was blocked by the sudden explosion, allowing Blood Infants escape. Kai Rong and Clan Head Sun saw the wretched aftermath and were frightened. What was that? Elder Jian shook his head, yet his face turned grave. "I don't know, but it must belong to a demonic cultivator." Chapter 24. Breakthrough Again. Chapter 24. Breakthrough Again. Whoosh! A red light streaked in the dead of night, passing through doors and entering Zhuo Fan's body, letting out a breath. Zhuo Fan opened his eyes as he rejoiced. Fortunately, the Blood Infant was quick to escape, or it would have been ruined by the bald elder. He never imagined he'd bump into such a strong opponent in the Kai clan. Even if he couldn't recognize the elder's cultivation, he was certain the elder was no less powerful than Godai Longjiu, and once Blood Infant was destroyed, because of Zhuo Fan's connection with it, it would spell doom for him too. But the opposite was also true. Even if his heart exploded, he wouldn't die as long as the Blood Infant lived, because the moment he bound with the Blood Infant, it became his heart. I need to work harder on improving my strength. His vast experience told him danger was looming. For now, it looked like Hell Valley and Veiled Dragon Pavilion were silent, but the Black Wind Mountain might be the fuse to a disaster with the Luo clan smack in the middle. His fate rested on strengthening the Blood Infant to bone-tempering stage. This was the only way to ensure some semblance of control when he met an expert like Long Jiu. Zhuo Fan closed his eyes and refined the Yuan Qi and blood essence the Blood Infant collected in the next moment. Red flashes came from his chest as red energy coursed through his veins to his heart. As the energy gathered, the hole in his chest began to heal. His weak heartbeat soon started pounding with greater force. In but an hour, his chest healed, with not even a scar left behind. If one didn't witness his heart exploding, they wouldn't believe the events of this morning occurred. He continued refining Blood Infants, gathered Yuan Qi, and turning into black energy. One part flowed into his dantian and another back to the Blood Infant. No less than 50 Qi condensation experts Yuan Qi were refined and propelled Zhuo Fan through the third layer of Qi condensation and to the brink of entering the fourth layer. With a faint boom, Zhuo Fan and Blood Infant broke through to the fourth layer. Zhuo Fan was happy. It was so easy to increase one's strength. It was only 10 days ago that he entered the second layer, and here he was now in the fourth. But when he wanted to work towards the fifth layer, he found Blood Infant's Yuan Qi reserves had been spent. He wanted to keep going, but he was satisfied he at least advanced 2 layers in one go. He looked out the window at the clearing sky and walked out to stretch his legs. Now that Black Wind Mountain was coming, he had to find a safe haven for the Luo clan. Zhuo Fan opened the door to his room, but before he could take a step, a thump resounded and something fell at his feet. He looked to see a drowsy Luo Yunchang getting back up in embarrassment. "What are you doing?" Zhuo Fan frowned. He poured all his focus on controlling the Blood Infant last night and then cultivating, so he didn't pay attention to what happened outside his room to the point he didn't detect her. Damn it! How could I become so careless? If it were an enemy instead, I would have been dead. Seeing his angry look, Luo Yunchang was apologetic as she mumbled, "I was worried about your wounds worsening and waited outside. Now that you're all right, I'll be going." "Wait, you stood guard all night." Zhuo Fan was shocked. Luo Yunchang blushed and turned to leave with a hurried pace. Then before Captain Pang took this moment to appear and saw Zhuo safe and sound and shouted in joy, Brother Zhu, you've recovered. That wound of yours scared all of us to death. Young Miss always stayed at your door, worried for your life. And where is she? She left. Zhuo Fan rubbed his nose and said calmly, yet warmth grew in his heart. Damn this heart demon! Zhuo Fan cursed. How could the glorious demonic emperor feel anything for a mere woman? This must be the work of the kid's heart demon. Right, old Pang, you came right on time. Come with me to the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. But what about young Miss and... Relax! After yesterday's event, no one would dare touch them, if not for fear of offending Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Zhuo Fan snickered. Captain Pang had to take a moment to recover, and reacted by giving thumbs up as his eyes glittered with worship. He didn't get Zhuo Fan's plan, but he was clear Zhuo Fan made others misunderstand Veiled Dragon Pavilion was backing Luo clan Steward Zhuo. I am now thoroughly convinced. If the Luo clan doesn't have you as a steward, we would have been doomed. It was a waste of your talents to have left you sweeping the courtyard back in the day. Laughing, Zhuo Fan patted Captain Pang's shoulder and shook his head. That person wasn't me. 15 minutes later found the two at the gates of Veiled Dragon Pavilion, before the same two guards. But this time they showed proper respect. Please enter, dear guests. What? You won't go and report first? Zhuo Fan mocked after giving a silly laugh. A guard knew Zhuo Fan was still bothered by what happened before and apologized. It was us who were ignorant before and didn't recognize your greatness. You made a deal of 1,000,000 spirit stones. We do not have the right to block such an honorable guest. Humph, snobs! Zhuo Fan sneered, then took Captain Pang inside, leaving the guards still bent and flattering him. They were clearly miserable inside, but still plastered a fake smile on their faces. The two ran into Long Kuei. This time, she lacked the respect she showed before and snorted in anger as she walked away. How did we offend her? Captain Pang was baffled. Zhuo Fan smiled. Young Miss Long Kuei, is this how Veiled Dragon Pavilion treats its guests? Humph, how are you guests? Raising an eyebrow, she glared at him. You don't deserve to be guests when you used us. Rubbing his chin, Zhuo Fan smiled and muttered, still just a girl and so naive. Zhuo Fan's voice was faint, but not enough to prevent the disdain in his voice from reaching Long Kuei. She was treated as the jewel of the clan and never received such contempt, especially from people around her age. Zhuo Fan, who are you calling naive? You, of course. Zhuo Fan smiled. Be it business or the politics between the 7 houses, everything must be taken into consideration when looking to make a profit. Yet you are prone to anger just from being used in someone else's plan. Just how did you survive this long? Compared to you, Long Jie is much more mature. He realized I used him and just walked away instead. The way I see it, admitting a loss is also a kind of power. At least the next time I plan on using him, it won't be as easy. This was the first time Long Kuei heard such an argument and was stunned. She came from the clan's estate and was put in Long Jie's care. The elders in the estate spoke highly of her talent, but not enough to entrust her with heavy responsibility. When she arrived here, Long Jiu spoke the same. Her talent wasn't any less than Long Jie, but Long Jiu didn't trust her in being responsible. She didn't understand. But now it seemed she was clear on something. Love, hate, closeness, and vengeance won't help you, only benefits. Zhuo Fan saw her bewildered eyes and chuckled. Let's set aside our personal grievances and talk about business. It is also where your talent lies. Long Kuei thought for a bit and nodded, but just then a light cough came, along with an aged voice. Mr. Zhuo Fan, let's talk. The 3 of them looked to see Long Jiu, accompanied by Long Jie, walking towards them. But Long Jie couldn't mask a glint of shock as he gazed upon Zhuo Fan yesterday. He saw Zhuo Fan's heart exploding, but now he was walking like it never happened. His breath was even and spoke calmly. Did he recover in 1 night? How? Grandpa Jiu, won't you give this young one a chance? Not paying any heed to Long Jie's shock, Zhuo Fan spoke, shaking his head. Long Jiu laughed. Ha ha ha. Just from talking with you. I ended up being used in the end. To think you still dare to come here. If I knew your true colors before, I would have taken you as a 1,000-year-old monster taking shelter in the Luo clan. Damn, I almost got found out. Zhuo Fan forced a laugh as he dismissed him. You're too kind, Grandpa Jiu. How can I compare to you? Cut the crap. Long Jiu switched tones in an instant and said harshly, Why are you here? I am looking for a safe house for the Luo clan to live in. Does Grandpa Jiu know of a good place? Stroking his beard, Long Jiu replied, Why should I help you? Simple. Veiled Dragon Pavilion owes us. Also, Zhuo Fan laughed eerily. It will help you watch over us more easily. Long Jiu's eyes squinted as his heart trembled in shock. This punk can see through anyone. Ever since killing Yu Quan yesterday, Veiled Dragon Pavilion has been on the defensive. With how tense our relation with Hell Valley is now, a battle might break out at any time. And Luo clan was a variable because of their connection with Veiled Dragon Pavilion. No one dared to mess with it, but it also allowed the Luo clan to do whatever it wanted. One wrong move, and it could trigger a war between the houses. This was why Long Jiu placed surveillance over the Luo clan. Yet, Zhuo Fan went and exposed it. This left Long Jiu feeling apprehensive. What is this punk scheming? He never imagined a veteran practitioner a century old would one day be toyed with by a punk. And he didn't understand the whole picture either, leaving him with an unpleasant feeling. Chapter 25. Array Grandmaster. Chapter 25. Array Grandmaster. Looking for proofreaders for this novel. Seeing the old man hesitating, Zhuo Fan smiled. Guess I'll have to suffer a loss and give you something. Humph. What could you possibly know that the Veiled Dragon Pavilion doesn't? Long Kuei stuck her chin with disdain. Zhuo Fan smiled. I have heard of the Veiled Dragon Pavilion boundless strength, but the cat and mouse each have its own means. What I know doesn't mean you do as well. Long Kuei grinned, unconvinced. Long Jia also shook his head, but only Long Jiu fixed his single eye on Zhuo Fan. Long Jiu wouldn't even care if it were anyone else. But it concerned Zhuo Fan, who gave them too many shocks these past days. He began to add a certain importance to the youth before him. Let's hear it. Snickering, Zhuo Fan said, Did you know Hell Valley's men are already here? What? Long Jiu shouted in shock. Since the founding of the empire, the 7 noble houses' domains had clear boundaries. Wingay City was Veiled Dragon Pavilions, and no other house was allowed to establish a branch here, or it would be taken as provocation, and war would break out, of course. Their disciples were the exception, as it could be seen from Veiled Dragon Pavilion ignoring Yu Quan's arrival. However, this didn't extend to elders or similar experts. They needed consent. First, Zhuo Fan knew of this rule from Luo Yunchang and was now probing. It went just as he thought. From their faces, they had no idea the bald old man was here. Impossible. We have scouts all over Wingay City, and no one can escape our notice. Long Jia shook his head with a grim look. Humph. Don't listen to him. He just wants to scare us. Long Kuei glared at Zhuo Fan. Only Long Jiu spoke in a grave tone. What proof do you have? Zhuo Fan smiled. None. So you're just running your mouth. Long Kuei threw a despising glare his way. Zhuo Fan laughed, but his appearance was that of a bald old man, with Kai Rong and clan head son calling him Elder Jian. Condor Jian Fan. Long Jiu's only eye squinted as his power exploded. It was so strong none of the others around him could breathe. Stepping back again and again, only after a while did he calm down. Zhuo Fan gasped as his heart shivered. Long Jiu's power contained naked killing intent that shocked even him. Grandpa Jiu, you've met that old man? Zhuo Fan probed. Not only met him, that man ruined Uncle Jiu's god eye. Long Jia explained. Zhuo Fan was in joy. I was scared you had no grievances. Now that I know you're arch enemies, it couldn't be better. Restrain your anger, Grandpa Joe. Joe Fan switched to a fake, compassionate tone waving. Long Joe's I glinted with coldness. All right, since you spoke of his appearance, I'll believe you. You can take the courtyard 100 yards from here. Thank you, Grandpa Joe. Joe Fan clasped his hands and walked away with Captain Pang. But after a couple of steps, Long Ju spoke coldly. Kid, where's that geezer? Stopping, Joe Fan replied. Kai clan, but it's more likely he's in the Sun clan now. I see. Long Ju nodded as the bones in his fists crackled. Once Joe Fan was out of sight, he spoke. Ah, Jia, report it to the clan so they can send some elders. I won't let Jian Fan leave this place alive. Also, stay for now in that courtyard and look after the Luo clan. I don't want them to do anything that might scare away Jian Fan. Uncle Joe, he is a Hell Valley elder. If he dies here, it will trigger a war between our houses. Long Jia showed his worry humph. It is he who doesn't follow the rules and sneaked my domain. If I let him live, I won't be able to live with the regret of him taking my eye. Seeing his advice falling on deaf ears, Long Jia sighed and left with Long Kuei. Though they left, they could still hear Long Joe's angry laughter. The next morning, Joe Fan took the siblings and Captain Pang to their new home. This was where the Veiled Dragon Pavilion received their honored guests. It was far larger than the reception house where they were welcomed before. It was the best place in town in a short while Luo clan was the talk of the town of how they were under Veiled Dragon Pavilion's close care. Everyone knew the Veiled Dragon Pavilion supported them, or they wouldn't have placed them in one of their courtyards. Protected day in day out, Kai clan and Sun clan rejoiced they didn't accept Elder Jian's task. Just from today's circumstances, it was clear that any who dared to harm the Luo clan would face the wrath of Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Just like that, the moment the Luo clan stepped foot in their new home, it was publicly declared as the #1 clan in the Wingay city. They were held above even the Kai clan and Sun clan. Despite being a small clan of 4, are we going to live here from now on? Being the first to enter, Luo Yunchang was shocked by the imposing atmosphere of the place, including the sheer number of guards around them, all qi condensation experts. Adding to them were 24 more golden armored guards, staying vigilant. They were clearly bone-tempering experts. Such guards could only be seen in the 7 noble houses Luo Yunhai and Captain Pang were struck dumb. The later was even in awe by the number of experts, while the former inquisitive old Pang, when the Luo clan recovers, what do you think of becoming the leader of such a team? Joe Fan patted his shoulder. Captain Pang shyly shook his head. Any guard here is stronger than me. It is great if I can be as strong as them, but I don't dare lead them. Despite saying that, his eyes flashed with hope. Joe Fan laughed. That day will come. But a sudden mocking laughter reached them. Mr. Joe Fan, you not only lie to others, but even lie to your own people. A steward like you is only good at conning. Many turned to see Long Jia and Long Kuei walking over ever since she realized Joe Fan made use of Veiled Dragon Pavilion. She lost all amiable pretense with Joe Fan. With Captain Pang's talent, he'd reached the 6th layer qi condensation at best. Such a man is but a basic guard to us, not a captain. I advise your little clan not to dream for something out of reach. Luo Yunchang and Captain Pang saddened while Joe Fan steeled his face. Young Miss Long Kuei, as the saying goes, don't mock a destitute youth. Your words are too harsh. Humph, what youth am I mocking? That's just an excuse to deceive dreamers. Every glorious clan built their way over thousands of years to reach the top. Don't think you can rely on your wit to stay under Veiled Dragon Pavilion's protection forever. In my eyes, Wingay City is but a grain of sand. Even if you're a king or overlord here, you'd only be a frog in a well, oblivious to the vast world outside. Hearing her incessant babbling, Joe Fan laughed. Oblivious to the vast world? A frog in a well. If anything worked as it should, the glorious demonic emperor wouldn't have fallen from sacred domain. In his eyes, it was this Tianyu Empire who was the speck to say nothing of the veiled dragon pavilion, Zhuo Fan. Seeing him angry, Luo Yunchang pulled his hand with a frown. They shouldn't offend their protector, Long Jie. Also felt Long Kuei crossed the line and shook his head after drawing her attention. But the lady only snorted. "Young miss, lend me some spirit stones." Zhuo Fan said coldly. Luo Yunchang was startled. She didn't know what he wanted to do, but she gave him a ring containing what he requested. Zhuo Fan jumped on the highest point on the roof and overlooked the area. "Hey, this isn't your home. Get down from there." Long Kuei barked. Ignoring her, Zhuo Fan spoke. Third grade, coiling dragon array. Long Kuei and Long Jie were shocked. Zhuo Fan's words spoke of the array Long Ju set up in this place. Yet this kid saw through it with one look yet before the shock lessened. Zhuo Fan jumped and spread spirit stones around him from the ring. In 15 minutes, close to 10,000 spirit stones were buried in the courtyard when Zhuo Fan landed. Long Kuei asked, "What are you trying to do?" Zhuo Fan began making hand signs in an instant. The ground trembled and dragon roars resounded, followed by 9 golden dragons. Bursting out of the ground, the dragons spread across the sky above Wingay City for all to see Elder Jian, who was in a hidden room in the Sun Clan. He opened his eyes and stared in shock. "Who's setting up the array? Is it that geezer?" "No, he doesn't have the skill to set up one such as this." In Veiled Dragon Pavilion, Long Jiu shot to his feet as he watched in astonishment. "Is that my coiling dragon array?" "No, my array isn't as strong." On Blackwind Mountain, a sinister youth turned to Wingay City's direction with a frown. What's going on in the city? Was the plan pushed forward? But he soon shook his head. No, Elder Jian isn't impulsive. What could have happened? Everyone's eyes turned to this strange light. After 15 minutes, Zhuo Fan's hand signs changed and the 9 golden dragons returned to the earth of the courtyard. It was soon followed by a golden glow that spread all over it. What did you do?" Long Kuei stammered. Zhuo Fan ignored her again and showed deep respect as he presented the ring to Luo Yunchang. "Young miss, I noticed the 3rd grade coiling dragon array lacked in strength to safeguard young miss' safety. As such, I took it upon myself to upgrade it to the 5th grade 9 heavens coiling dragon array. I have wasted spirit stones. Please punish me, young miss." What? Long Jie and Long Kuei were gobsmacked. There were but a handful of people who could set a 5th grade array in the Tianyu Empire. Not even the 7 houses had such a talent. But this kid had just simply deployed one. Was he a 5th grade array master? Luo Yunchang knew Zhuo did it on purpose to humiliate them, then deferred to her. This was also the first time she saw him so subdued. It was the perfect moment to install her rightful status as a young miss onto him. Luo Yunchang smiled and sighed, yet her face was stone cold. "Steward Zhuo, I should punish you for taking so many spirit stones without consent. But I won't blame you as you did it for our sake. Let's go." "What? Punishment?" Not even the 7 noble houses would dare rebuke such a lofty existence. Long Kuei looked as if she had a fly stuck in her throat soon. Zhuo Fan accompanied Luo Yunhai as they swaggered inside. To the endless shock of the others and the snickering of Captain Pang and Luo Yunhai, only Long Jie and Long Kuei stood there with their hearts in chaos. They never thought it possible for a scheming 2nd layer Qi condensation Zhuo Fan to also be a 5th grade array master. How could an unknown clan have such a talent? Chapter 26 Invitation. Chapter 26 Invitation. Looking for proofreaders for this novel. Whoosh! With a sudden boom, a figure appeared before the two. It was Long Jiu. His eyes were filled with excitement. "Who set up the array just now?" It's..." The two looked long at each other before Long Jie replied, "Luo clan steward, Zhuo Fan." "What him?" Long Jiu turned to the array, and the more he examined it, the more shocked he got. An array master needs to know each array as the back of his hand and pours years and years into understanding heaven and earth. At my age, I can only set up 3rd grade arrays. So how can a pup set up a 5th grade array so quickly? Long Jiu seemed to be asking Long Kuei and Long Jie, but it also seemed to be asking himself. The two only shook their heads. It was unknown what kind of man Zhuo Fan was, as he kept doing extraordinary and shocking things again and again. Even the two of them, born in a powerful clan, no longer dared to underestimate Zhuo Fan. They even felt inferior. Go and call the kid over. No, invite him. I want to speak to him. Taking a look around, Long Jiu grinned. The two cupped their hands and followed his order. Soon, in a pavilion in the garden behind the courtyard, Long Jiu served tea at a stone table. It didn't take long before Zhuo Fan came in, followed by Long Jie and Long Kuei. Ha ha ha, brother Zhuo Fan, sit. Long Jiu laughed as he invited him. Long Jie and Long Kuei were shocked brother Zhuo Fan. Long Jiu had a high position in the clan. As such, the two of them called him uncle. Yet a proud man like Long Jiu only respected a handful of people in the Tianyu Empire, but to call this kid brother left the two stumped. Zhuo Fan took it in stride, however, sitting without hesitation. In his eyes, this was a world where the strong were respected. With enough strength, even this old man's grandpa would call him brother. Why has Bro Jiu called for me? Zhuo Fan wasn't a stickler for rules and poured himself some tea. He didn't seem to know the meaning of shame as he called Long Jiu bro without so much as a blush. Long Kuei couldn't even react. Long Jie rolled his eyes, cursing him for being shameless and taking advantage of circumstances, but Long Jiu was overjoyed. Their relationship was now tighter, and that was a good thing for him. Brother Zhuo Fan, since you called me Bro Jiu, I won't mince words. I'll be honest with you, brother. For a 5th grade array master to stay in a fallen clan like the Luo clan is a sin. It's best if you join the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. We will even treat you as a venerable. Even the clan head will have to show you respect. Long Kuei and Long Jie never imagined Long Jiu wanted to invite Zhuo Fan as Veiled Dragon Pavilion's venerable. That was the highest status in the Veiled Dragon Pavilion, even higher than an elder. How could a kid, still wet behind his ears, receive such honor? Then again, Zhuo Fan was a 5th grade array master only in the qi condensation stage. Any of the 7 houses would invite such a person to be a venerable. Asking him to join the Veiled Dragon Pavilion was for the clan's future. Zhuo Fan sipped tea with a smile. He knew of Long Jiu's intention even before he came. Who wouldn't fight and seize a 5th grade array master in such an empire? Even the emperor would have to show him courtesy. He foresaw this even as he set up the array. Brother Zhuo Fan, what do you say? Long Jiu asked again. Zhuo Fan grinned. I have one condition. If it's in Veiled Dragon Pavilion's power, you can ask for anything. Long Jiu expressed his consent, even making her serve me tea, rub my feet, and warm my bed. Zhuo Fan pointed at Long Kuei. Long Kuei's cheeks flared red with anger. Keep dreaming. Long Jiu had to shake his head in embarrassment. It's impossible with little Kuei. Ha ha ha, it's just a joke. I already have a young miss, so why would I look for another? Zhuo Fan's eyes were radiant as he turned serious. I want the Luo siblings forever safe. Zhuo Fan paused after each word. Long Jiu showed his admiration. He never expected for Zhuo Fan's condition to be just this. Such devotion inspired respect from the 3 around him. Even the always angry Long Kuei looked at him longer. I agree. As long as the Veiled Dragon Pavilion exists, the Luo clan, not only this generation, but its descendants will also live in peace. Smiling, Zhuo Fan sipped his tea again. Then from now on, you are Veiled Dragon Pavilion's venerable. I will report it to the clan, and 3 days later, I will ask Jie to escort you to the clan estate. Wait. Zhuo Fan raised his hand. I didn't agree. What? But just now, Long Jiu stood in panic, then glared at Zhuo Fan. Brother Zhuo, were you messing around? Zhuo Fan turned serious. If it were 15 minutes ago, I would have agreed without hesitation. But now? What about now? Long Jiu's beard trembled, shaking his head. Zhuo Fan let out a mysterious smile as his voice turned cold. Young Miss Long Kue, do you remember what you said? Zhuo Fan extended his fist. Within 10 years, I will make the Luo clan stand above the 7 houses. He downed the tea in one gulp and smacked the cup on the table. As he left, Long Kue had a strange feeling watching his back. It was impossible for a small clan to rise above the 7 noble houses in 10 years, even if he was a 5th-grade array master. The 7 noble houses' reserves weren't something he alone could overcome, but Zhuo Fan's confidence left her without retort. Little Kue, what did you say? Long Ju turned to the two. From Zhuo Fan's expression, he knew Zhuo Fan was not lying. So, something must have happened earlier. Long Kue only stared at Zhuo Fan's back as Long Jie spoke. After hesitating, Long Jiu shook his head after hearing the story. I've said already not to insult people and cut at their shortcomings. You've insulted the Luo clan, and they are sure to not take it lying down. But what he said can't be achieved. Long Jie muttered. Long Jiu stroked his beard. Luo clan has a 5th-grade array master. Even if it won't rise above the 7 houses, it will still be well known in the land. It's best to get closer to it. We were so close to having him as venerable. Long Jiu sighed as he fixed his eye on Long Kue regarding Zhuo Fan. He went to Luo Yinchang, his mind going a mile a minute. He could have completely put his heart demon to rest, but chose not to because of Long Kue's words. Pipe dream? If we can't even dream, our only choice is to leave it up to fate. Demonic cultivators walked in defiance of heaven, fighting for their own fates. Zhuo Fan thus hated when someone told him that any goals he had was a pipe dream, that he should feel grateful for his fate. He had to prove to everyone that even a fallen clan could reach the top one day. He no longer helped the Luo clan just for the sake of his heart demon, but also for his path as a demonic cultivator. Nothing in this world is impossible. If heaven stands in my way, I will kill it. My fate is my own and not heaven's. The day shall come when he would rebuild this ruined clan to the best the world had ever seen. As long as demonic Emperor Zhu Yifan was here, nothing was impossible. Bam! Zhuo Fan slammed the door open, full of anger. Luo Yinhai, Luo Yunchang, and Captain Pang were startled. Luo Yunchang hesitated before building up the courage to speak to him. Zhuo Fan, what did Grandfather Zhou want? He invited me to join Veiled Dragon Pavilion. The three's faces saddened. Despite being downhearted inside, Luo Yunchang strained a smile. Congratulations, Veiled Dragon Pavilion will offer you a far more glorious future than Luo clan. She had a guess Zhuo Fan's talent as a 5th-grade array master would attract the 7 houses invitation. The Luo clan would find it impossible to hold onto such a man. Zhuo Fan snorted. What are you sad about? I declined. What? Shock was seen, but happiness was the most obvious emotion. Why? Just because. I'll be in my room. Zhuo Fan left without answering. But just before he was gone, he said coldly, Young miss, don't interfere in any future matters of the Luo clan, be it big or small. Luo Yunchang nodded, absent-minded. Wasn't it like this so far? Why did he bring this up? Zhuo Fan then seemed to talk to her, but also to himself. From now on, I am Luo clan steward. In 10 years, I will raise the Luo clan above the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. His figure left with the last word, leaving the 3 in shock.